Chapter 187. In the air, Nangong Xiaobei and the others all looked at Xia Haochen. Yi Mingxi had made it clear that she was challenging him to form a team and fight against the insane sect. There were a total of 10 people on the Kuang sect's side. In addition, there was a mortal, Tai Hua, who was being carried on someone's shoulder. Now that Shi Gu and Feng Wuxie had joined them, their target was obviously Xia Haochen. There were a total of 12 people on the Kuang sect's side. Xia Haochen only needed to form a group of 12 to fight. Xia Haochen's face was ferocious. Even if Yi Mingxi didn't place a bet, he had to accept it. Otherwise, he would lose all his face and participate in the Supreme Battle King tournament. Kakik clenching his fists, Xia Haochen looked coldly at the emperors and said in a low voice, "They've already challenged us. Are you going to sit by and do nothing?" The emperors were silent for a moment. Xia Haochen still had power and influence. He had many friends. It was easy for him to form a team of 12. "Brother Xia Haochen, I'll help you. I'll also offer 1,800 upper-grade spiritual crystals as a bet." A super genius from the Zhang family walked out and looked coldly at the insane sex people. "Me too. A bunch of ungrateful brats. Today, I'll teach you all a lesson on behalf of your father. You really don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Count me in. I'll offer 500 upper-grade spiritual crystals." In a short while, all 11 of them were present. Including Xia Haochen, it was 12 against 12. Almost everyone offered 7 to 800 spirit crystals. The least was 500. The rest was all paid by Xia Haochen. They gathered 10,000 upper-grade spirit crystals and handed them all to Nangong Qingyue. The atmosphere became solemn. More and more experts gathered. They all wanted to see the results of this team competition. Emperor Yi and the others also gathered to discuss countermeasures. "I'll fight this Xia Haochen. You guys can do whatever you want with the others," Emperor Yi said. Shi Gu and Feng Wuxie were stunned. They didn't expect Emperor Yi to be so strong. He directly targeted a terrifying existence like Xia Haochen. "Little girl, this guy is very strong. Even we might not be able to win against him. You should find another opponent," Feng Wuxie kindly reminded. However, Emperor Yi shook his head and said indifferently, "After he suppresses his cultivation level, if you fight him, you will definitely have to suppress your cultivation level as well. That will be disadvantageous to you. It will be impossible for you to win and it will be very dangerous." Emperor Ye's meaning was very simple. He was worried that they would be killed by Xia Haochen. The implication was even more terrifying. Xia Haochen was only SOSO. He might be able to deal with others, but against her, he was simply courting death. Shi Gu and Feng Wuxie frowned. They were not happy to let a little girl fight the strongest Xia Haochen while they hid behind to deal with the others. However, the people of the Kuang clan seemed to have blind faith in Emperor Yi and wanted to see how strong Emperor Yi really was, so they stopped arguing. "Zhu Zifeng, let me do it. I want to see if his dharma is stronger or if my brick is harder." Shi Gu was extremely cold. He couldn't wait to rush up and take down Zhu Zifeng, who was in the top 5. "Yu Qin, who is ranked 6th, let me do it." Feng Wuxie quickly chose his opponent. Lin Wutian returned to the group with a cold gaze. He didn't choose his opponent. After the others had chosen, the last one would be his. Si Wuxie's blood was boiling. His gaze was like the sun, making his aura oppressive. Behind Li Jiuchong was a very skinny young man who was about 13 or 14 years old. He was looking at the group furtively. His gaze locked onto the weakest emperor and he grinned coldly as if he was looking at prey. He was called Huang Xiaohu. He was born with godly strength. Standing on the ground, he could move mountains. 3 years ago, he relied on his strength to join the Kuang clan. Later, he suddenly comprehended the profound meaning of the law of gravity and reached the small success stage. He was even more terrifying than Yi Qinghan. Perhaps this was his talent, but he also had another identity. He was the younger brother of the fifth-rank auctioneer, Huang Xiaoming. Everyone was in the air and defenseless. If he suddenly used the law of gravity to launch a sneak attack, this group of people would be unlucky and could fall to their death. Tai Hua and Xiao Li sat on the two sides of Li Jiucheng's shoulders. Their eyes were clear and some light flashed in them. They seemed very excited. You guys send out your people. We'll challenge them. Yi Mingxi was a little excited. To her, winning or losing was no longer important. 10,000 high-grade spirit crystals were the most important. These 10,000 spirit crystals were probably the savings of these emperors. After all, high-grade spirit crystals were very rare. I'll do it. The weakest young man had a powerful aura. He was a qi refiner called Yang Qiong. Now that his cultivation was low, it would be difficult for him to achieve a high result in the king-naming competition. As a qi refiner's cultivation increased, they would have an advantage against body refiners. At the immortal realm, qi refiners could sweep through body refiners. Let me do this! Huang Xiaohu excitedly rushed out from the back door. The gravity in the main region was extremely strong. Even invincible emperors like them would find it hard to fly quickly. To him, this was the best battlefield. You don't know what's good for you. Yang Qiong sneered. To him, killing Huang Xiaohu was just a matter of thought. Okay, the rules will be simple. We'll fight until one side concedes. If one side concedes, the other side must immediately stop attacking. If they don't, they can attack as they wish. Nangong Qinyue was very excited. It was as if it was her first time being a judge. Let's begin, Nangong Xiaobei said indifferently. Yang Qiong's lips curled up. He gathered qi into a blade and a divine sword appeared in his hand. He roared, chop! Shua! The sword light was sharp and pierced through the air, heading straight for Huang Xiaohu. Humph! Huang Xiaohu's veins popped out. His divine power overflowed into the sky as he waved his iron fist at the true Yuan blade. With a single step, he was dozens of meters away from Yang Qiong. Boom! The Zhen Yuan blades and the iron fist qi collided, creating a deafening sound. Huang Xiaohu took a step back as his soul power increased. He glared at Yang Qiong and growled, "Gravity law, descend." The pressure between heaven and earth suddenly increased, as if the sky was about to collapse. Everyone's aura stagnated and they couldn't stabilize their bodies. They were frightened and used the momentum to escape back to the ground. Even Nangong Qinyue and Nangong Xiaobei's expressions changed. They felt as if their bodies were filled with lead. In the center of the battlefield, Yang Qiong's complexion changed. He poured out his true essence in an attempt to stabilize his body, but the gravity suddenly increased by 1,000 times. The tearing force from the ground nearly tore his body apart. He immediately gave up all resistance and fell to the ground. Yang Qiong fell faster and faster. The closer he got to the ground, the stronger the gravity and the stronger the tearing force. Yang Qiong couldn't resist at all. He grabbed the sky with both hands, trying to find the last straw to save his life. 1,000 times gravity. Descend. Huang Xiaohu followed closely behind Yang Qiong's body. He controlled the gravity and pressed down on Yang Qiong. Yang Qiong's body was torn out of shape. He had difficulty breathing and his eyeballs almost popped out. How could he still have the chance to admit defeat? Xiahou Chun and the others' expressions changed. A teenager knew the gravity law? It was simply unbelievable. Die for me. When they were still several hundred meters from the ground, Huang Xiaohu punched at Yang Qiong's body. Shoo! The sound of the air being torn apart was endless. Yang Qiong's eyes were full of fear. He couldn't resist the gravity, let alone block Huang Xiaohu's attack. He could only watch as his opponent punched at him. The air was burning due to the friction. Boom! Yang Qiong's body was directly punched through by the powerful Huang Xiaohu. His body slammed into the ground and was torn apart. He died on the spot. Even his bones were crushed by the gravity. Everyone gasped and was secretly shocked. A kid like this knew the gravity law. Those who didn't have a strong body would be courting death if they got close to him. No one would be wary of the law of gravity. Generally, the law of principle and the profound meaning of the elements were the cultivation methods of the celestial sex. A few grand martial venerables could also cultivate the law of gravity. However, no one had ever thought that the law of gravity would appear in the Life Palace realm. Yang Qiong died with his eyes wide open. Not even his bones were left. As soon as he landed, Huang Xiaohu's aura became overwhelming. It felt like he could kill a Tao master with one punch. The insane sect wins the first battle. Nangong Qingyue landed on the ground. Although she was shocked, she quickly announced the result. Xiahou Chun looked terrible. He didn't expect to lose so badly in the first round. He couldn't lose the second round or he would become a laughingstock. Brother Zhu, you want to fight? Xiahou Chun asked tentatively. Okay, I'll fight. Zhu Zifeng smiled. How could someone who could enter the top 5 of the younger generation care about this group of little guys? When Shi Gu saw this, he immediately summoned the golden brick. The great path law descended and his aura was monstrous. The brick's aura was too strong. Although it was sealed in the 6th grade, everyone knew that it was a weapon made by a god martial venerables. Once it revealed its true combat strength, it could break a 6th grade god weapon with one blow. Zhu Zifeng looked terrible. He looked coldly at Shi Gu and said angrily, "You want to use a weapon to suppress me?" A weapon is also a reflection of combat strength. If you have the ability, use an emperor weapon. I'll admit defeat immediately. Shi Gu sneered. The younger generation competed with each other in terms of combat strength and background. Who in the ancient aristocratic families didn't have such a background? Only Xiao Zhanxing, a 5th grade Yi Qinghan, lacked such a background. Yi Qinghan used a 5th grade weapon himself. It was impossible for his family to have a 6th grade weapon. Otherwise, he wouldn't have lost so badly. Humph, arrogant. Do you really think I don't have a background? Zhu Zifeng waved his hand and a sarira that shone with Buddhist light appeared in his hand. Its aura was boundless, intimidating all the Daos in the world. Without a background, who would dare to fight for the Supreme Battle King? Unless it was someone with extraordinary combat strength like Yi Qinghan and Gu Qingyu. Then let's see if your sarira or my brick is stronger. Shi Gu shouted in disdain. With the brick in hand, who can fight against me? Suppress. The golden brick rushed into the air and spun continuously. The surrounding great path patterns intertwined and divine light filled the air. It covered the sky and suppressed Zhu Zifeng. Boom, 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 buzz, 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 the sarira and the golden brick exploded at the same time. One was majestic, while the other was boundless. They suppressed each other and suppressed each other. Everyone was forced to retreat. Chapter 188. On the dead star, the gravity had reached an extreme. Countless stars gathered and its density had broken the record of countless stars. Outside the canyon, it would be difficult for immortal realm experts to survive if they did not understand the law of gravity. Thousands of divine dipper trees emitted a golden glow and pushed aside the gravity. The Iron Mountain became even more majestic and towering, protecting the last chance of survival. However, the gravity in the forest of divine dipper trees was beyond the range of ordinary cultivators. Even if Yi Qinghan and Yi Lingyu had comprehended part of the law of gravity, it was still very difficult for them to protect the other two. Yi Qinghan did not sleep or rest. He was fully focused on comprehending the law of gravity. According to the rate of increase of the pressure on the dead star, it would take at most half a year for them to be crushed into dust and become one with the earth. The divine dipper trees could not hold on for much longer. Some of the smaller divine dipper trees had already been crushed. When all the divine dipper trees were crushed, Yi Qinghan and Yi Lingyu would have no chance at all. On this day, Yi Qinghan suddenly stood up. His aura became deeper and deeper. With a wave of his hand, he could mobilize part of the law of gravity, reducing the pressure around him. Minor success in the law of gravity. I can add the law of gravity to the immortal robe. Perhaps it can help us escape from this land of death. Yi Qinghan's voice was hoarse and he was exhausted. In the past few days, Yi Qinghan had forged dozens of divine dipper gloves, dozens of 5th-grade mystical weapons, and many 6th-grade mystical weapons. His physical body was unparalleled. Naturally, he had entered the 3rd step of the Fate Palace realm. Now, his mastery of the law of gravity had also reached minor success. He finally had the confidence to forge a 6th-grade immortal robe. The parrot gave the last 5th-grade elixir to Yi Qinghan. It was extremely painful. It had not tasted any of the 5th-grade elixirs that it had worked so hard to obtain. It had given them all to Yi Qinghan. In order to quickly recover his strength, Yi Qinghan swallowed the elixir without hesitation. He rushed to the peak of the 3rd step and could enter the 4th step at any time. Perhaps he could break through when he was forging the immortal robe. Yi Qinghan took away a large amount of heavenly dipper divine wood and walked out of the canyon. The gravity of the outside world made it difficult for him to move. In the end, he used berserk mode to open up a path. Step by step, the law of gravity circulated around him, making it much easier for him. However, it was not realistic for him to fly. He could only rely on the immortal sect Taoist robes. If the immortal sect Taoist robes supported the law of gravity, they would not be able to escape alive. The gravity increased. Before the meteorites could reach the ground, they were burned by the friction. Yi Qinghan was no longer worried about being crushed to death by meteorites. He placed the smelting divine furnace above a deep pit. The earth fire could burn the sky. It quickly turned the smelting divine furnace red. A large number of meteorites were smelted. The divine dipper trees were also put in. In less than half an hour, it was smelted and boiled. Divinity rushed to the sky. Thunder and lightning intertwined. Flames rushed out of the smelting divine furnace. The first batch of liquid rushed out of the smelting divine furnace. It was enveloped by Yi Qinghan's will and changed shape. It evolved into the immortal robe according to his will. A pair of crystal clear wings was added. Not only was it strengthened with the law of gravity, but it was also strengthened with the dark and water elemental profound. Divine Martial Imperial Code out. Yi Qinghan pressed his fingertips on his sea of consciousness. He was ready to use the Divine Martial Imperial Code to strengthen it with more law profound. The Big Dipper Array, Yin-Yang Array, and 8 Trigrams Array were all embedded in the immortal robe. It allowed its defense to reach an extreme. It could at least block a large portion of the power of an immortal sect expert. The Divine Martial Imperial Code shone with divine light. Qi rushed to the Milky Way. The surrounding pressure was instantly reduced. Nothing could restrain it. It continuously flipped pages. Every page would inject a law into the immortal robe. The 3 supreme treasures glowed. The laws intertwined and became extremely powerful. Gravity Chapter. The law of gravity profound was injected into the immortal robe. It spun continuously, allowing it to control the law of gravity and break free from the shackles of the dead stars. Go! Yi Qinghan pointed his finger and shot a drop of blood into the 3 supreme treasures, making them even more dazzling, as if they had their own will and soul. They swayed with the wind and danced gracefully, looking awe-inspiring. The Divine Martial Imperial Code continued to refine the immortal robe. Its glow gradually dimmed while the immortal robe's divine light became denser. Yi Qinghan's eyes shone brightly as he spat out another mouthful of essence blood onto the Taoist robe, causing it to cool down. It now looked like an immortal robe that could block all attacks. The 3 Taoist robes of the celestial sect had exhausted all of his strength. These 3 supreme treasures were refined for Ren Huangyi himself and Gu Qingyu. Naturally, it required even more effort. The Divine Martial Imperial Code returned to Yi Qinghan's sea of consciousness. Yi Qinghan kept the immortal robe and dripped a drop of his blood into it. It recognized him as its master and became majestic. His clothes danced in the wind and his body was as light as a swallow. He wore the Big Dipper gloves and merged with his body. He held the 7-foot Big Dipper frenzy. His wings, which were about 3 meters long, flapped the sky, wanting to kill his way out of hell and into the 9 heavens. Swoosh! In the blink of an eye, Yi Qinghan was back in the valley. He floated in the air effortlessly, causing Yi Lingyu's eyes to shine brightly. Boom! He attacked fiercely and broke 3 Big Dipper divine woods. He said to Yi Jianma, "Give me all the Tier 5 supreme pills. Once we get out of this hell, I'll pay you back double." Yi Jianma didn't dare to go against Yi Qinghan's will. He also wanted to leave this land of death as soon as possible. He quickly gave the remaining 2 supreme pills to Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan took the brocade box and rushed out of the canyon with the 3 Big Dipper divine woods. He quickly mobilized the earth fire to refine the divine woods and meteorite. He began to forge more immortal robes. Although they weren't as terrifying as the previous 3, they weren't ordinary either. They weren't inferior to the one on Feng Sha. More importantly, they had wings on their backs that were reinforced with the profound meaning of the law of gravity. Practice makes perfect. After forging the 3 best immortal robes, it was easy for Yi Qinghan to forge 6 ordinary immortal robes in an hour. He only reinforced them with the law of gravity, the element of darkness, and the element of water. He didn't use the divine martial emperor codex to refine them. After eating the 4th Tier 5 supreme pill, Yi Qinghan's vital essence poured out and penetrated his body. He instantly broke through the bottleneck of the 3rd step and stepped into the 4th step. His physical body was constantly refined while forging the immortal robes and became unparalleled in the world. At this moment, Yi Qinghan was confident that his current combat strength wasn't inferior to any of the great emperors when they were young. He chopped a few more divine Big Dipper trees and used the divine martial emperor codex to forge more than 10 immortal robes. Although they weren't as good as the previous 3, they were much more powerful than the previous 6. These immortal robes were forged for the Kuang sect. While forging the immortal robes, Yi Qinghan's strength was slowly improving. After swallowing the 5th Tier 5 supreme pill, Yi Qinghan's breath became deeper and deeper. It felt like he was turning into a mortal. It was very ordinary, but it gave people the feeling that he was suppressing the great Tao. Yi Qinghan didn't want to waste the last bit of material left. He suddenly thought of the parrot. This fellow's physical body was in a mess. Perhaps he could forge an immortal robe for it. If a spiritual pet could wear an immortal robe, it might be the first bird in history. Yi Qinghan carefully crafted a small immortal robe according to the parrot's body shape. The quality might be much better than the previous 3 immortal robes. After all, this immortal robe was very small, but it used a lot of materials. It didn't lack any magic formations and the profound meanings of elements. After being refined by the Book of God and Martial Emperor, it completely escaped into the sea of consciousness and temporarily fell into a deep sleep. Yi Qinghan returned to the canyon with this Taoist robe of the Immortal Gate. He gave Yi Lingyu 2 good Taoist robes of the Immortal Gate. They were the last batch, second only to the parrot and Yi Qinghan's own 3 Taoist robes. Yi Lingyu was very satisfied. With this Taoist robe of the Immortal Gate, even if the whole Shaolong region became his enemy, so what? Lu Ning murmured. She wanted to say something but didn't dare. In the end, she lowered her head and her eyes turned red. Yi Qinghan chose a immortal robe of inferior quality and gave it to Lu Ning. He said in a dignified voice, "This immortal robe is to repay the kindness you showed me on the Shaoyun Star. I'll save you and leave. From now on, we'll have nothing to do with each other. After returning, the first thing I'll do is to kill those people from the Lu family. It's up to you whether you want to do it or not." "Then, does our agreement still stand?" Lu Ning pursed her lips and took the immortal robe. She found that hers was obviously different from Yi Jianma's. She couldn't help but ask sadly. Yes, Yi Qinghan said coldly. He looked at the parrot and threw the smallest oddly shaped immortal robe to it. He said indifferently, "Try it and see if it fits." "Damn. There's mine too." This divine bird knew that being loyal and devoted would definitely earn my master's love and care. The parrot had a smug look on its face. It found that its immortal robe was better than Yi Qinghan's. It couldn't help but feel moved. Although the parrot was afraid of bleeding, in order to recognize its master, it righteously cut its claw and dripped a drop of blood essence into the immortal robe. It instantly fit with the immortal robe. Its wings were slightly bigger than its wings. With a flutter, it could travel thousands of meters. Its speed was extremely fast. Ha ha ha, this divine bird is destined to be the divine emperor of all beasts. The parrot suddenly turned around and returned to Yi Qinghan's shoulder. It laughed arrogantly. Smug. Yi Jianma snorted. She was extremely dissatisfied with the parrot. Yi Qinghan sat cross-legged on the ground, recovering his true essence and qi. He was preparing to leave tonight. After all, the dark element was the densest here. With the support of the dark element and the law of gravity, their chances of escaping were much higher. Yi Jianma stared at the void. The 2 copper coins in her hand emitted a golden light that shot into the sky. Her expression changed greatly. She said in alarm, "Tonight, this Death Star will become lifeless." Yi Jianma was right, because this dead star was moving rapidly toward another huge dead star. Once they collided, the 2 dead stars would fuse together, and the fiery qi waves would instantly destroy the Iron Mountain and burn these people into nothingness. An hour later, Yi Qinghan's eyebrows twitched. He felt a terrifying sense of danger envelop this place, causing his heart to palpitate. Swish, swish, swish. Yi Qinghan slashed out hundreds of times and dismembered dozens of divine dipper trees. He threw away all the random items in his spatial ring and put away all the divine dipper trees. He then collected a large number of meteorites and returned to the valley. He said to the others, "Let's join hands and rush out of here. Today is the day of our life and death." Swish, swish, the wings on the immortal robe weren't big, but they were incomparably tough. With the support of many elemental laws, they blocked out most of the gravity and soared into the sky. The 2 Death Stars were also rapidly approaching. The friction caused monstrous flames that illuminated the entire death zone. Chapter 189. The 2 dead stars approached each other rapidly, and the flaming dragon pierced through the galaxy. Yi Qinghan and the others tied a 6th-rank whip together and flew into the void. The pressure was getting stronger and stronger, and the tearing force made the immortal sect robe flutter. Even the parrot was giving his all. Yi Qinghan and Yi Lingyu took the lead, and Lu Ning and Yi Jianma were dragged into the sky. 100 meters, 1,000 meters, 3,000 meters. The pressure increased by 1,000 times. If not for the immortal sect robe, the 4 of them would have been crushed into dust. His face was ferocious, and his blood essence was overflowing. Yi Jianma was held in Yi Lingyu's arms. He used the law of gravity to shield her from most of the tearing force, and she escaped death. Lu Ning's body was almost torn apart. Her body was twisted and blood was flowing everywhere. She was dragged behind and she was in a sorry state. Yi Qinghan reached out and grabbed her arm. He wasted some energy to protect her. The wings of the immortal sect robe were almost twisted. The divinity of the celestial star and the water profound origin made them terrifyingly flexible. Otherwise, they would have been broken. His true essence poured out quickly, and the pressure pushed everyone into hell. Lu Ning's last will to live helped her break through to the beginner level of the Tao Master Realm. Her cultivation increased rapidly, and she nodded gratefully at Yi Qinghan. She could finally maintain flight. 10,000 meters in the sky, Yi Lingyu broke through to the Tao Master realm. He burst into the galaxy, almost dragging the few of them with him. However, at this height, the pressure had reached its peak. Even the parrot could not stand it. Blood gushed out of Yi Qinghan's eyes as he struck out violently. With one strike, he shattered the shackles. His blood chi erupted and his azure dragon arm exploded. With a spurt of energy, he broke through the completion of the fourth step of the Fate Palace and entered the realm of Tao Master. Whoosh! The aura of the invincible war monarch burst out. His true essence poured out and wrapped around the immortal sect robe. With the support of true essence, the immortal sect robe was even more terrifying, and its wings became more flexible. It spread its wings and flew tens of thousands of miles, pulling everyone out of the shackles of the dead stars. The dead star and another dead star instantly collided. Flames rushed out of the dead region, and the waves of fire swept the group of people countless miles away. The immortal sect Taoist robes radiated light in all directions, protecting them firmly. The high temperature almost roasted them alive. Boom! The other dead star was much smaller than the previous one. It directly created a huge crater in the dead star, while the dead star itself shattered into pieces. The high temperature melted the dead star, and terrifying high-temperature metal balls appeared. The density was definitely enough to make a 7th or even 8th grade material. Unfortunately, when the two dead stars fused together, the density and mass reached a level where even those in the Immortal Gate realm could not break free from it. If Yi Qinghan and the others were to enter now, they would be crushed to a pulp in an instant. The density of the dead stars was increased once again, and the gravitational force became stronger and stronger. The speed of selection became even more frenzied, and it began to continuously devour the stars. Puff! Yi Qinghan and the others spat out essence blood and were bathed in a river of blood. Even their immortal robes were dyed red as they tumbled through the air, allowing the shock waves to batter them. By sheer coincidence, they were pushed out of the death zone. It had to be said that their luck was heaven-defying. The only one who was safe and unharmed was Yi Jianma. She was in Yi Lingyu's arms and had escaped certain death. The group floated in the air for an unknown period of time. Yi Qinghan woke up from his coma. He felt as if his whole body had exploded, and not a single part of his body was intact. As for Lu Ning and Yi Lingyu, they were miserable. They had almost died. If they had not broken through in the end, they would have died without a doubt. The parrot was smart. Not only did it activate the immortal sect robe, but it also ran into Yi Qinghan's arms. It was almost unharmed and had a smug look on its face. "Master, if it wasn't for me continuously transferring spiritual energy to you, you might not have woken up so early," the parrot boasted. Yi Qinghan nodded and swallowed a large amount of spirit medicine to heal his injured body. An hour later, Yi Lingyu and Lu Ning woke up. Yi Jianma struggled out of Yi Lingyu's arms and was almost strangled to death. In the main region, Shi Gu and Zhu Zifeng were fighting fiercely. They used all their trump cards and fought until both sides were injured. The Saraira was almost crushed by the golden brick. Zhu Zifeng was heartbroken. He could not force Shi Gu to retreat even with his high realm. For the sake of the Saraira's safety, he had to admit defeat. Kuang Zong had won 2 times. Xiahou Chen was furious. He stepped out and looked at Emperor Yi and the others coldly. He looked down on everyone and said arrogantly, "Who will fight me?" Emperor Yi walked out with the divine zither. Her white dress danced in the wind. She looked otherworldly. Her eyes were closed, making people feel that she was weak and wanted to take pity on her. Xiahou Chen's eyes turned cold. He glared at Feng Wuxia and shouted disdainfully, "Feng Wuxia, didn't you think you could fight me? Do you think I'll be merciful and spare her life if you let a reckless little girl come out?" Feng Wuxia's breath froze. He was about to rush out and fight when Si Wuxia pulled him back. "Don't worry. Those who look down on senior sister will be trampled under my feet," Si Wuxia said proudly. Feng Wuxia was shocked. He tried to break free from Si Wuxia's small hand, but he could not. Even the blood in his body seemed to be frozen. Emperor Yi was indifferent. She stood with her zither, and did not even open her eyes to look at Xiaohochen. She said softly, "Why don't you suppress your realm and fight me? I may not be able to defeat you in your peak state, but after suppressing my realm, I can kill you like a dog." Yi Futian's voice was as light as the wind and clouds. It was as ethereal as an immortal's, but it sounded extremely arrogant. Not only was Xiaohochen furious, even Nangong Xiaobei felt that Ren Huangyi was too arrogant. If he could kill Xiaohochen as easily as slaughtering a dog, wouldn't that mean that he could kill them as easily as slaughtering dogs? Ha ha, what an arrogant girl. Alright, since you think you can kill me like a dog, I will show you what it means to kill someone like a dog. Xiaohochen was furious. He quickly suppressed his realm until it was at the peak of the fourth step of the Fate Palace realm. It gave people the impression that he was even more powerful. Boom! Xiaohochen took a step forward. When he was 100 meters away from Emperor Yi, he waved his hand and a 5th-grade battle sword appeared. The sword chi was sharp, tearing the void apart. "Begin," Nangong Qingyue said. Boom! Emperor Yi opened his eyes and shot out 2 terrifying beams of solid black light. The shadow of a divine Guqin and the black light tore through space. Even the solidified space was pierced through like 2 laser beams. They were indestructible and nothing could stand in their way. In an instant, they were in front of Xiaohochen. Xiaohochen's heart suddenly stopped and the blood in his body exploded. He hurriedly raised his sword to block Emperor Ye's gaze and the divine zither's shadow. Boom! Crack! 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 Pooh! The crisp sound of broken bones resounded in the surroundings. Xiaohochen's arms exploded, and the weapon in his hand was almost shattered. It flew out of his hand and smashed into the void. Xiaohochen did not even manage to hold on for a breath before he fell back madly. Step by step, he flew back dozens of steps. Buzz! Emperor Ye's 5 fingers pulled the strings and the sound turned into a blade that swooped down on Xiaohochen. The sound broke through the air and directly exploded in everyone's sea of consciousness. Their divine senses were damaged and their souls were throbbing. Their faces were as pale as paper and they all retreated. Xiaohochen, who was attacked by Emperor Yi with all his strength, narrowed his eyes and his eyes were full of horror. He spat out a mouthful of essence blood and his soul was almost destroyed by the sound. His flesh and blood were cut into pieces and bathed in a river of blood. Buzz! 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 The continuous sound of the zither was vigorous and surging with sharp attacks. It mobilized Xiaohochen's qi and blood and almost made his blood vessels burst. Ah! Xiaohochen was furious. He did not expect Emperor Yi to be so terrifying. His genuine essence poured out and instantly broke through the seal. He returned to the peak of the Tao Master Realm. His momentum was monstrous. He grabbed the void and the sword returned. His killing intent rushed into the sky. "I want you to die." Xiaohochen was burning with anger. He no longer cared about his face, and was ready to use his strongest battle force to kill Emperor Yi. "Stop! Xiaohochen, you have lost." Nangong Qingyue instantly stood in the middle, and looked at Xiaohochen coldly. Everyone gasped. Xiaohochen, who was known to be invincible among his peers in the Shaolong domain, could not last more than 3 breaths in front of Emperor Yi, and was almost killed. This made the Taoist hearts of many king-ranked experts tremble. They looked at Emperor Ye's extraordinary face with awe in their hearts. Emperor Yi was still standing with the zither in his arms. He closed his eyes and said indifferently, "Senior, are you going to suppress me with a higher realm?" Xiaohochen clenched his iron fist. His 5th-grade sword whistled, and he did not hide his killing intent. If it were not for Nangong Qingyue standing in front of him, he would definitely kill Emperor Yi without hesitation. "Nangong Qingyue, get out of the way!" Xiaohochen shouted in a hoarse voice. Xiahou Chen, I'm the referee. Don't be so shameless. You have lost now. Either admit defeat or get out of the main region. However, this bet of 10,000 high-grade spirit crystals belongs to the crazy sect. Nangong Qingyue did her job and did not back down. Brother Xiahou, calm down. Don't lose face and dignity. We agreed to fight at the same level. Now that you have used a higher realm, how can we explain this? Nangong Xiaobei asked with a frown. This demoness is not human. What is this about face and dignity? As long as I kill her, I will be fighting for the human race. Xiahou Chen said coldly. You're crazy. You can't beat her and you're saying she's not human. Then are there any other powerhouses in the human race? Yimingshi mocked disdainfully. How can there be a human with such eyes? Her eyes are full of destructive energy. She's clearly a ferocious spirit. Xiahou Chen was furious and was about to attack again. I think you're not human. How can there be a human with such thick skin like you? How can you be more despicable than a divine bird? Yimingshi was furious. Her hands trembled as she was about to attack, but she was stopped by Nangong Qingyue. The surrounding aura became gloomy and cold. Everyone was silent as they looked at Emperor Yi. Emperor Ye's expression was gloomy. Her eyes had always been her inner demon, and she could not see them. Now that she opened her eyes, she could feel a violent destructive energy. Although this was a great help, she would rather not have it. With just her zither Dao, she could still be invincible in this world. Nangong Qingyue, you better not be willful. This demoness is definitely not human. When she grows up, she will definitely bring disaster to the world. It's best to kill her today or you will regret it in the future. Xiahou Chen warned coldly. What proof do you have that she's not human? She defeated you with her eyes alone and you say she's not human? Isn't that a bit too far-fetched? Nangong Qingyue argued. She had never seen a human with such terrifying eyes. She was indeed a bit uneasy. Then let's ask a martial sovereign to come out and verify. Xiahou Chen was extremely confident. He was certain that Emperor Yi was not human. Chapter 190. In the main region, a group of kings surrounded the people of the insane sect. They believed Xiahou Chen's words and felt that Emperor Yi was not a human. His eyes were too terrifying. They notified the great revered experts of their clans to come and force Emperor Yi to open his eyes. Emperor Yi opened his eyes for the safety of the disciples of the insane sect. His eyes were filled with destruction. The divine zither's shadow was stuck in his eyes. It was extremely terrifying. The great revered experts looked at each other in dismay. Very few people knew about the zither immortal scarlet demon physique. After all, this physique had gone through the savage era, the desolate era, the 10,000 ancient times and until now. There were only 2 people with such a terrifying physique. There were no records of it in history. Only the divine martial imperial codex mentioned it a few times. Only Yi Qinghan could recognize it. Is she really a demoness? What clan is she from? A great revered expert frowned and said. Who cares what clan she is from? Just kill her. Another great revered expert said coldly. He did not have the slightest bit of emotion. He had the feeling that he would rather kill 100 people than let an evil spirit go. Kill your mother. If you dare to touch a hair on her head, I'll crush your entire clan. Gu Qingyu stepped into the main region and shouted coldly. The main region was shaken. There had never been a great revered expert who dared to use force in the main region. Today, the atmosphere was filled with killing intent. Gu Qingyu came over, sword in hand. 1 man and 1 sword stood in front of Ren Huangyi. A hint of disdain appeared at the corner of his mouth. Gu Qingyu, you still dare to come to the main region? More than 10 great revered experts were furious. They opened their communication talismans to inform Azura Qian Yi and Emperor Yi. Emperor Yi had been beaten half to death by Feng Sha. He had been hiding in his dynasty to recuperate for 3 years. Once he came out, his evil aura would definitely fill the sky. A while ago, Feng Sha used the immortal sect's Taoist robe to bully others. Even Nangong Yuanhong did not dare to do anything to him. Even though he had disappeared for a long time, his prestige was still there. Just mentioning him made the great revered experts tremble in fear. What's so great about the main region? I can go wherever I want. Can you all stop him? Gu Qingyu's gaze was like a sword, sweeping over everyone, intimidating everyone. You guys leave first and return to Alfal Star. Gu Qingyu said to Emperor Yi. Today, anyone can leave, but you and Ren Huangyi cannot. More than 10 martial venerables were incomparably tyrannical as they instantly surrounded Emperor Yi and Gu Qingyu. Sister Shui, take them back to the eccentric sect first. Emperor Yi took a deep breath and said in a deep voice. Boom! An enormous cloud-piercing ship appeared in the sky. Its speed was extremely fast, and it smashed down like a meteor. F***CK. Who dares to hurt my son? Khan Stan's voice was like a sudden clap of thunder. As soon as Khan Stan appeared, Stan Zhongquang immediately rushed out from behind. Clearly, he was the one who had informed Khan Stan. Stan Khan looked at Stan Zhongquang and was very satisfied that he had chosen to inform him for Stan Wuxia's safety. Zhongquang, this old man is very satisfied with your performance. Retreat to the back first. This old man wants to see who wants to kill my son today. Stan Wuxia's golden bloodline was Khan Stan's reverse scale. Whoever dared to have crooked thoughts, he would definitely risk his life. At this moment, his face was filled with anger as he coldly looked at the martial venerables. Everyone looked at each other in dismay, feeling very innocent. Old man Stan, who's your son? Emperor Yi? Isn't her surname Yi? Who wants to kill your son? Everyone felt very innocent as they angrily cursed. F***CK your mother, can't you see that my good grandson is obediently staying here? You guys are surrounding him and shouting and scolding. A group of shameless old things, shouting and shouting at a group of children. Has your Tao heart been eaten by dogs? Khan Stan definitely had a violent temper. At this moment, he was unable to restrain his anger. Everyone was infuriated. Who was going to shout about killing that little brat? This Khan Stan was a bit too overbearing and unreasonable. Brother Stan, you can leave with your grandson. Today's matter is a grudge between us and Gu Qingyu. It has nothing to do with you. Emperor Yi drove the dragon carriage over. The ferocious beast's roar shook 10,000 li, Amitba. Those who have nothing to do with this, leave immediately. Today, I will purify this demoness and Gu Qingyu, this devil. Azura Qian Yi also rushed over. Even Buddhist techniques couldn't conceal his evil. In the entire Shaolong region, there were at least close to 1,000 martial venerables. At this moment, at least 300 of them had gathered in the main region. Most of them were here to watch the show, but close to 100 of them had enmity with Gu Qingyu, or it could be said that they had participated in the massacre of Shao Zhanxing back then. If you have enmity, come at me alone. Martial venerables, so what if you join hands? What kind of ability is it to deal with a 10-year-old girl? I will block all enmity with my sword. Gu Qingyu unsheathed his sword. Sword Qi rushed into the sky. The mighty 6th grade divine weapon covered the sky and the earth. Can you block it? Don't think that you can be invincible in the world just because you stole the Buddhist heart sword seed relic. This world won't allow such a vicious person like you to cultivate. I will take care of you on behalf of the heavens. Azura Qian Yi flew into a rage. When he saw the 6th grade divine sword in Gu Qingyu's hand, he was burning with anger. This 6th grade divine weapon should have belonged to him. At this moment, Yi Qinghan and Yi Qinghan's group finally found the direction. They sped all the way and parted ways halfway. Yi Qinghan went straight to Shao Zhanxing and arrived at the Blood River in the Yi clan's ruins. He sat down cross-legged and gathered the baleful aura and murderous aura of the entire star. From the depths of the Star River, it could be clearly seen that the entire Shao Zhanxing had turned into a ghost region. The baleful aura pervaded the air and it was eerie. Fierce winds whistled and ghost flames were everywhere. All the evil spirits and baleful aura pounced towards the Yi clan's ruins. They wanted to devour Yi Qinghan, but they were devoured by the violent heavy saber instead. Yi Qinghan used the baleful aura and murderous aura to temper his body. Divine light pervaded the air, and it was incomparably terrifying. Yi Qinghan looked like a demon god in contrast. He could scare the evil spirits to death just by opening his eyes. If Yi Qinghan knew about what happened in the main region, he would definitely not come here to temper his body first. Instead, he would kill his way to the main region and take revenge. In the main region, Nangong Yuanhong arrived with a few unfamiliar experts. They were the experts of the immortal sect that he had invited from the endless universe. They wanted to destroy the dead stars in the dead region. They happened to see many great revered martial artists surrounding a group of children and couldn't help but frown. "What are you all doing?" Nangong Yuanhong was furious. He released his aura and the experts' legs went soft. They all knelt down one after another. "Greetings to the Domain Lord." Although many of the crazy sect's disciples had strong willpower, they couldn't resist the will of the immortal sect's experts. Only Emperor Yi, Lin Wutian, and Stan Wuxie stood behind Gu Qingyu. They were extremely conspicuous and proud. As for Yi Mingxi, the person who made her kneel had not been born yet. She was afraid of Emperor Yi and Yi Qinghan. No one could make her kneel down in fear. In addition to these people, there was another weirdo, Tai Hua. He looked at Nangong Yuanhong with watery eyes. He was curious but not afraid. Nangong Yuanhong was satisfied with everyone's performance. When he glanced at Gu Qingyu and the others, he frowned. There was satisfaction in his eyes but also some dissatisfaction. Gu Qingyu and the juniors of the crazy sect greet the Domain Lord. Gu Qingyu slightly cupped his fists and said indifferently, "Crazy sect? Gu Qingyu?" Nangong Yuanhong had been in seclusion for a long time. Even if he wasn't in seclusion, he wouldn't be interested in the outside world. For him, those who didn't enter the immortal sect were just ants. Therefore, he didn't know Gu Qingyu and the other supreme battle kings of the previous generation. Feng Sha followed Nangong Yuanhong. He carried the soul-devouring Tachi on his back. He narrowed his eyes and looked at Gu Qingyu. His battle intent surged out. This kind of battle intent could only be released by an invincible existence in the same realm. When he released his battle intent, it already showed that Gu Qingyu was worthy of being his opponent. Gu Qingyu also noticed Feng Sha. He looked at the word "kill" on his shoulder. His divine sword whistled and his aura soared into the sky. He looked like an invincible battle king. Not bad, somewhat interesting. Nangong Yuanhong was quite satisfied with Gu Qingyu's cultivation and will. "Grandpa, you have to take care of these people. They have nothing to do all day and only know how to bully others with their numbers." Nangong Qingyue flew to Nangong Yuanhong's side and acted like a spoiled child. Nangong Yuanhong's forehead was filled with black lines. "Domain Lord, this boy and that demoness aren't good people." Gu Qingyu comprehended the solitary sword Dao and entered the Dao through killing. As for that demoness, she's definitely not a human. She's most likely a demon genius, or even an evil spirit. Killing them will greatly benefit the human race. Emperor Shen Yi knelt on one knee and said in a deep voice, "Amitabha, Domain Lord, these two will certainly be a disaster for the human race. Today, we have to take the opportunity to eliminate them." Azura Qian Yi said with compassion. He put his palms together and bowed. "Demon genius? Evil spirit?" The aura of the elders who followed Nangong Yuanhong turned cold as they stared at Emperor Yi. These 3 elders were all veteran experts of the immortal sections. They were even more powerful than Nangong Yuanhong. Moreover, they were pedantic people. They were incomparably ruthless when dealing with demon geniuses and evil spirit. They wouldn't let the wrong person go. "Grandpa, don't listen to his nonsense." Xia Haochen said that he would fight against Emperor Yi at the same level. In the end, he fought against Emperor Yi and was injured by Emperor Ye's eyes. He couldn't even withstand a single move and framed Emperor Yi as a demoness. This is simply ridiculous. Nangong Qingyue was incomparably angry. This was her first time being a judge. She thought it was quite fun. Unexpectedly, such a result occurred. She was very dissatisfied with Xia Haochen. Nangong Yuanhong's eyes were like torches as he looked at Gu Qingyu and Emperor Yi. He couldn't see the slightest bit of seductiveness or fierceness from Emperor Yi. However, at least he knew that Gu Qingyu was a prideful genius. Although he looked cold, he actually had principles in his heart. He absolutely wouldn't kill the innocent. His eyes can injure an emperor expert in an instant? Nangong Yuanhong asked curiously. Yes, Emperor Yi is the second strongest emperor expert in the younger generation, second only to brother Tianqian. Therefore, Emperor Yi is a genius. You should protect him. He might be able to bring glory to our Shaolong region. Nangong Qingyue pulled Nangong Yuanhong and shook him, causing the dignified domain lord to lose his dignity. Little girl, open your eyes and let this old man have a look. Nangong Yuanhong was very curious. There weren't many people who could make Nangong Qingyue have a whole new level of respect. Emperor Ye's divine sense sensed Nangong Yuanhong. He slightly raised his head and opened his gloomy eyes. The destructive aura shattered the heavens and rushed towards Nangong Yuanhong. It was completely out of her control. Nangong Yuanhong didn't care and allowed the gaze to land on himself. When the terrifying destructive aura approached the immortal robe, the robe emitted a divine light and directly emitted smoke. In the blink of an eye, the robe was destroyed. He was immediately shocked and poured out his true yuan in an attempt to block Emperor Ye's destructive gaze. However, even his true yuan was ignited. The experts of the immortal sects were all shocked. They looked at the gloomy eyes that seemed to be the reincarnation of hell. Their eyes revealed a trace of murderous intent. Emperor Yi closed his eyes and felt the disgust and murderous intent in the surroundings. His heart was sad as he held the divine zither tightly with both hands. A drop of tear flowed out from under his eyelids. The heaven and earth were mourning, and 10,000 daos were rumbling. Jian Chenxue wanted to reach out and grab Ren Huangyi, but Ren Huangyi dodged her. She was not willing to trust anyone at all. In Ren Huangyi's eyes, she might really be a monster, as long as her master and uncle were sincerely protecting her. It's impossible for the human race to have eyes like hers. Maybe she really is an evil spirit, an elder of the immortal sects coldly said with a murderous intent. Chapter 191. It's impossible for a human to have eyes like hers. Maybe she really is an evil spirit. An old man from the immortal sect said coldly with killing intent. The words of the immortal sect's expert basically sentenced Emperor Yi to death. Emperor Yi took a step back vigilantly. His 5 fingers grasped the zither strings tightly. Blood splattered everywhere and dyed the divine zither red. Wait, whether or not she is an evil spirit should be sent to the endless universe and ask the Almighty to determine. If she is a human, don't you think it's a pity to kill a peerless genius? Feng Sha frowned. He also had some doubts in his heart. In the entire history of the human race, no one had ever had such eyes. There were many evil spirits who killed with their eyes. Fellow cultivator, once the evil spirits know about this kind of existence, they will definitely send a terrifying existence to kidnap her. After a few years, the evil spirit's strength will increase greatly. The human race will be in danger. Another immortal sect expert reminded in a deep voice. The three immortal sect experts, the black-clothed one was the heavenly fate immortal, the white-clothed one was the white-beard immortal, and the purple-clothed one was the purple cloud demon. They were the experts of the White Tiger region's three great immortal sect experts. They were all senior immortal sect experts, and their battle strength was not inferior to Nangong Yuanhong's. The three great immortal sects all wanted to kill Emperor Yi and didn't give her any chance. Feng Sha's expression was somewhat unsightly. He knew that these immortal sect experts didn't treat great revered experts as humans. They were all ants. The reason why they were so polite to him was because of the kill word on their clothes. They were afraid of his organization. I won't let you kill her. As the supreme immortal sect experts, shouldn't you investigate clearly in advance? In order to kill the evil spirit, you don't care about other people's feelings? Gu Qingyu coldly questioned. Ignorant junior, how can you interrupt me when I am speaking? Kneel down. Purple Cloud Demon's aura erupted. The immortal sect's aura was like the will of the heavens as it pressed down on Gu Qingyu. It wanted to force him to kneel down and submit. Gu Qingyu held the divine sword tightly. His clothes were cold and almost torn apart. His black hair danced in the wind. He felt like he was withstanding a huge force that caused his legs to change shape. However, he would rather die than kneel down. Grandfather, he is Xiaolong region's previous generation's supreme war king Yu. Nangong Qingyue was shocked and quickly pleaded with Nangong Yuanhong. Nangong Yuanhong shook his head and signaled for Nangong Qingyue to calm down, but he didn't know why. It's easy for you to kill me, but you aren't qualified to make me kneel. The corners of Gu Qingyu's mouth curled up. The sword in his hand was about to rush into the sky, releasing a long whistle, sword energy soaring into the sky. Then I'll grant you your wish. Ziyunsha sneered. An ant dared to oppose him. What was so great about a supreme battle king? Every era there would be one or two supreme battle kings. Emperor Yi did not want Gu Qingyu to be implicated, so he soared into the sky and coldly said, "If you want to kill me, then come. There's no need to implicate others." Gu Qingyu was shocked. Renhuang Yi was only at the Fate Palace plain. If the cultivator from the Celestial Gate wanted to kill her, it would only take a thought. Just as he was about to fly over and block the attack, the cultivator from the Celestial Gate acted quickly. He grabbed the air with his large hand and pulled Renhuang Ye's body down. Boom! Renhuang Ye's body exploded in the air. Blood and bones splattered everywhere. The divine Guqin exploded and blocked the fatal attack, giving her a chance to catch her breath. However, the white-bearded deity also made his move at this moment. He flicked his finger, and a wisp of spiritual qi pierced through the void, intending to penetrate Renhuang Ye's body and destroy his soul. Everyone from the insane sect was in despair. Si Wuxie's golden bloodline exploded. His eyes were like the sun, and his golden hair pierced through the void, shaking the ages. Roar! Si Wuxie roared like a wild beast. His aura soared into the galaxy, causing everyone's vital energy to stagnate. You dare to kill my sister? I'll make your entire clan pay with their lives. His voice broke through the air, causing the Celestial Gate Master's vital energy to stagnate. It was as if he was being watched by a supreme power. However, the white-bearded immortal had already attacked and rushed behind Emperor Yi in the blink of an eye. There was no way to stop it. Whoosh! A black dragon broke through the air, and the murderous aura that filled the sky shook the 9 heavens. The Owl Dragon region was instantly shaken. A domineering and terrifying aura broke through the air from the ancient times, crossing countless eras and slashing directly to the present. It instantly destroyed the Celestial Gate Master's ultimate attack, causing the Tao hearts of the immortal sect to tremble. Not good. An evil spirit is attacking. This demonic woman is indeed an evil spirit. Kill. We can't let her escape. The Celestial Gate Master was furious. Attacks came from all directions, all rushing towards Emperor Yi. The great Tao in the surroundings roared, and thousands of techniques descended. Boom! The space where Emperor Yi was at collapsed. The violent spatial wind blades tore everything apart. Emperor Ye's figure disappeared instantly. Si Wuxia roared toward the sky. After cultivating for 3 years, the only sister he acknowledged was killed without a trace. This caused his bloodline to explode. The ancient golden bloodline roared, and all the masters within a radius of 10,000 meters knelt on the ground, as if welcoming the arrival of a supreme emperor. Wuxia, calm down. Khan Stan was shocked. He knew that things were not going well. With the birth of the golden bloodline, it was unknown how many experts and ferocious beasts would be attracted. Even the ferocious spirits might come out and kill this terrifying monster in the cradle. The Celestial Gate Master's eyes were filled with shock. They didn't know about the Zither immortal Crimson Demon physique, but how could they not know about the golden bloodline? This was the royal bloodline of the human race. It was a supreme existence. When it was just born, it could receive the treatment of a supreme being. All of you deserve to die. Si Wuxia ignored Si Khan and stepped forward. His eyes were emotionless as he glared at the 3 celestial gate. Golden bloodline. The ancestral bloodline of the Si Stan clan. He is reverting to his ancestors. Oh my God! His blood is reverting to his ancestors. The Celestial Gate Master was shocked. Nangong Yuanhong stepped in front of him and protected him. He looked at the other 3 celestial gates cautiously. I allow you to kill yourselves, or wait for me to crush you personally in the future. Si Wuxia's voice was filled with a terrifying will as he looked down on the 3 celestial gates. Wee. Ziyunsha and the rest trembled. The birth of the golden bloodline meant that one was the emperor. Whoever dared to blaspheme would definitely be suppressed by the emperor of the human race. Feng Sha was overjoyed. This was the best candidate to join their organization. If they found this treasure, the organization would bestow them with supreme treasures. Killing the Celestial Gate Master would be done in an instant. Feng Sha stood in front of Si Wuxia without hesitation. The Celestial Gate Master's robe was activated, and the word kill shook the world. All of you deserve to die. A terrifying and hoarse voice sounded as if it came from an evil spirit that crawled out from the depths of hell. It was emotionless and made people's scalps go numb. Even the Celestial Gate Master's body tensed up as he turned to look into the distance. A black robe fluttered in the wind and celestial light shot out in all directions. His wings were almost transparent, and with a light flap, a ripple appeared in the void. He held a 7-foot divine blade in his hand, and the woman in his arms was none other than Emperor Yi. Emperor Yi had never trusted anyone so much. The divine zither disappeared, and when she saw the appearance of the newcomer, tears fell like rain. A sense of security. This was the sense of security that she would not be afraid of even if the sky fell. Even the divine zither could not give her such a sense of security. The figure approached from afar, and the wind god's handsome face exuded a gloomy, murderous aura. It was as if an ancient demon god had descended, and his demonic blade could destroy a world. Master! Brother! It's him. The robe he is wearing is the Celestial Gate Master's robe. The people of the Kuang sect were overjoyed. Yi Mingxi thought that Emperor Yi had been killed, and when she saw that Emperor Yi was safe in Yi Qinghan's arms, she could not help but wipe her tears and rush toward Yi Qinghan. Shirgu was shocked. 3 years ago, when Yi Qinghan left, it was only at the first step of the Fate Palace. Now it had grown to this level. His blood boiled, and he could not wait to kill and break through the shackles. Feng Wuxia's heart trembled, and his palms were full of sweat. He was excited and emotional. Feng Sha held the Soul Devourer Tachi tightly, and a look of horror flashed in his eyes. 3 years ago, when he saw Yi Qinghan, he felt that he could be trained. 3 years later, when he saw Yi Qinghan again, he knew that he was no match for him. It's him. Impossible. He has already died from self-destruction. Shura Qianyi roared as if he had gone mad. His eyes were full of fear. He was very familiar with Yi Qinghan's aura. Moreover, in the past 3 years, Yi Qinghan's appearance had been imperceptibly changed, and there was no difference between him and his previous life. The most important thing was his aura. That kind of disdainful gaze and the invincible venerable aura was something that no one could imitate. Yi Qinghan. He is Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan who died 11 years ago. This is impossible. Lu Su was terrified and his hair stood on end. He was even more frightened than when he saw an evil spirit. He felt that Yi Qinghan was the most terrifying evil spirit in the world. Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghuang. They are actually the same person. Shi Ge was shocked. In the past few years, the people he admired the most were Yi Qinghan and Gu Qingyu. They dared to kill 100 great martial venerables with 1 sword and 1 saber. This kind of thing was nothing if it happened to an immortal sect expert, but when it happened to a great martial venerable, it was too terrifying. He is. Nangong Qingyue and Nangong Xiaobei's complexion became deathly pale. Yi Qinghan's appearance was too terrifying. How could a dead person reappear in this world? Nangong Yuanhong frowned. Why did everyone's face look as if they had seen a ghost? However, Yi Qinghan's aura was indeed too terrifying. It was so terrifying that even immortal sect experts felt threatened. Who is he? Someone from my Shaolong region? Nangong Yuanhong looked at Nangong Qingyue, as if he wanted to know Yi Qinghan's identity. Ah. He is Yi Qinghan of Shao War Planet. He fought against 100 great martial venerables alone, killed 30 great martial venerables, and killed hundreds of Dao venerables. In the end, because he was threatened, he chose to self-destruct. He is my idol. Nangong Qingyue was excited and frightened. No one would be able to accept this kind of thing if it happened to them. Yi Qinghan, who was shrouded in a baleful aura, had a cold aura. He held the 7-foot berserk hammer and descended to the main region. He looked down at everyone and stared indifferently at the 3 immortal sections. The killing intent in his eyes was self-evident. Today, not only would he take revenge, he would also massacre the immortal sects. Ha ha, brother, you have finally returned. I thought I wouldn't have the chance to see you again. Gu Qingyu laughed loudly. His aura erupted and his battle intent soared to the heavens. He would fight alongside Yi Qinghan. So what if he killed his way into hell? How can I let you fight alone? Yi Qinghan's voice was like thunder. He officially acknowledged his identity. He waved his hand and a precious immortal sect robe appeared in his hand. It was domineering and baleful aura revolved around it. Wear it. Today, accompany me to slaughter this shameless brat from Shaolong region. It was another immortal sect robe. Moreover, this immortal sect robe had wings. It was completely different from the wings of the immortal sect experts. My son, this is the immortal sect robe that I specially made for you. Wear it and watch me trample this group of trash. I will take revenge for you. Yi Qinghan's hand trembled and a divine light radiated in all directions. It was like a fairy's dress, suffused with a holy light. The most important thing was that it actually had 4 wings. It could increase the owner's endless speed. Chapter 192. Another immortal sect Taoist robe. Everyone's eyes were filled with greed and fear. Did Yi Qinghan obtain the treasures of the Almighty? Whoosh! Emperor Yi dripped his blood on it, and the immortal sect Taoist robe appeared on his body, making him look like a fairy. The holy light covered the sky and the earth, and no one dared to blaspheme him. 4 wings flapped in the sky like a fairy, dancing gracefully. How was this a ferocious spirit? She was clearly a goddess who walked out of the immortal realm. She made people admire and respect her. All the women were envious. Nangong Qingyue and Jian Qinshue were jealous. Yimingshi curled her lips, feeling that her brother was too biased. Made for him alone. Why didn't you make it for me? Brother, you are so biased. Yimingshi pouted and asked. You too. Yi Qinghan waved his hand and threw out an excellent immortal sect Taoist robe. It was just a pair of wings. One for each of you. Put it on. Whoosh. There were at least 10 sets of immortal sect Taoist robes. One set was enough to shock the experts of the immortal sect. Nangong Yuanhong's forehead was covered in sweat when there were more than 10 sets. Everyone from the Kuang sect put it on and dripped their blood on it. They were incomparably arrogant. When the wings flapped gently, the space shook. Damn! Where did you get so many immortal sect Taoist robes? Shiji's eyes flashed. He rubbed his hands and asked excitedly, Can you give me one? Yi Qinghan generously threw one to him. Countless people's eyes lit up as they looked at Yi Qinghan. They wanted to kneel down and lick his boot. How was this generosity? This was super forthright. Yi Qinghan took out more than 10 sets of celestial dipper gloves, all of which were of the 6th grade. Nangong Yuanhong was shocked. With such equipment, a group of children could exhaust the experts of the immortal sect. There were 3 sets of the best celestial dipper glove. One was given to Emperor Yi, one was given to Si Wuxia, and the last one was naturally given to Gu Qingyu. These 3 people needed the best celestial dipper glove. The rest of them had 1 set each. Together with the immortal sect Taoist robes, they could definitely kill an expert of the immortal sect. Gu Qingyu's domineering aura surged up to the sky. He dared to fight with the experts of the immortal sect. With the celestial dipper gloves, Emperor Yi had fused with his physical body. He no longer feared the sharp strings of the divine Guqin. His aura also became extremely powerful. Sect Yiqian's was only envious and envious. Yimingshi was just Ju. Yimwith Yi was sect. And Yimzi was with Emperor. But was divine. Was. The crazy sect's combat strength had been greatly boosted, and with Yi Qinghan's return, they were no longer afraid. They glared at the crowd. Those who have nothing to do with this, stand aside. Otherwise, don't blame me for staining Shaolong region with blood. Yi Qinghan's 7-foot heavy fist struck the void. The sky collapsed and the earth cracked. The great revered martial artist's blood turned dim and his body tensed up. Shura Qianye, Emperor Shen Yi, and the rest had goosebumps. They knelt on the ground in fear and begged Nangong Yuanhong, Domain Lord, please save us. This demon is going to kill again. Domain Lord, please save us. Quickly kill this evil spirit. He's already dead. How can he be revived? He must be an evil spirit. The experts who had participated in the massacre of Owl Warstar had all gathered in the main region. When they saw Yi Qinghan's terrifying killing intent, coupled with the support of the Immortal Gate's Taoist robes, Zhong Kuang was even stronger than before. They instantly lost all will to fight. They all begged the region lord, hoping that the experts of the Immortal Gate would take action to suppress Yi Qinghan. Supreme Yi, I was possessed back then. I beg you to spare my life. I'll kneel and admit my mistake. Boom. Pa. There was also a wave of people who were scared out of their wit. They didn't dare to fight back. They knelt on the ground and begged for mercy. However, how could Yi Qinghan let them off so easily? The great Yi clan, the 5th grade Shao Zhanxing, tens of billions of people died because of this battle. It wasn't a few hundred people or a few thousand people. It was more than 20 billion people. There were also countless subordinate forces of Shao Zhanxing that were slaughtered. Who could be so cruel? They were all a bunch of heartless trash. Nangong Yuanhong didn't understand the hatred. He frowned. He felt that Yi Qinghan's killing intent was too strong. How vicious was he? He actually wanted to stain Shaolong region with blood. How much hatred! Fellow cultivator, you. Nangong Yuanhong frowned and looked at Yi Qinghan. He wanted to speak. Nangong Yuanhong, shut up. If you dare to speak another word, I'll kill your whole family. I'll slaughter your sacred mountain. Yi Qinghan's killing intent had reached its limit. He violently pointed his finger. His aura was so strong that it made the immortal sect expert's heart tremble. He didn't hate Nangong Yuanhong for not taking action back then. However, he dared to interfere in this blood feud. He was helping the tyrant. Nangong Yuanhong clenched his iron bones. When had he ever been threatened like this? However, Nangong Qinyue crazily hugged Nangong Yuanhong and shouted, "Grandpa, if you dare to interfere, I'll immediately explode in front of you." This is their personal grudge. You don't understand his blood feud. Back then, more than 20 billion people of Shao Zhanxing, the 5th grade Yi clan, were all slaughtered in one night. However, you didn't come out to stop it. Now you're standing out to speak. Who doesn't hate you? Nangong Qinyue was crazy. She could truly feel the killing intent in Yi Qinghan's words. She regarded Yi Qinghan as her idol. Naturally, she understood Yi Qinghan's craziness. Once he erupted, he would slaughter an entire world. Countless people of Shaolong region would be bathed in a sea of blood. Nangong Yuanhong's breath stagnated. He knew Shao Zhanxing. After he came out of seclusion, he knew that no one was left. He didn't expect that another person would come out today. Moreover, he came back for revenge. What status did he have to stop Yi Qinghan? If he spoke, wouldn't he be asking for Yi Qinghan's hatred and resentment? I won't interfere in this matter. However, give me an incense stick's worth of time. I'll move all unrelated creatures away from the Overlord region. Although Nangong Yuanhong was humiliated, he didn't want to be enemies with Yi Qinghan. He waved his hand and moved countless creatures into Shaolong's sacred mountain. The corner of Yi Qinghan's mouth rose. His killing intent soared. Tonight, the Overlord region was destined to be dyed red with endless blood. The sinners of that year, none of them could escape. Yi Qinghan exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. He held his blade with both hands and coldly asked Shuraqinya and Emperor Xinyi, "Who told you that I had the divine martial imperial code? And who destroyed the 8 trigrams array's cornerstone of Shao Zhanxing's star array?" Guji, the martial honorables trembled and their teeth chattered. Seeing that Nangong Yuanhong wasn't willing to help, they immediately felt despair. Evil grew from their gut. They gathered together and glared at Yi Qinghan. Emperor Xinyi sneered, "Yi Qinghan, we killed you back then. We can do it again today." Shuraqinya looked at Ziyunsha and the others and enticed, "3 seniors, since we have already offended them, why don't we join hands and kill them? It's better than taking our own lives." Feng Sha sneered and said to the 3 immortal sects, "If you dare to attack, it won't be as simple as blaspheming the human emperor. I advise you to scram as far as you can. Even when the golden bloodline grows up, he might not remember you 3 worms." When the 3 immortal sects heard this, they immediately understood. That's right, the human emperor was still young. When he grew up, his battle strength would be unparalleled. How could he remember these 3 old things? Furthermore, Emperor Yi wasn't dead yet. Supreme human emperor with the golden bloodline, we old people didn't mean to offend you. We will scram now. Please don't take it to heart. Hong, the 3 immortal sects scampered away and didn't even dare to look back. Yi Qinghan's cold gaze swept across the 3 of them, but he didn't stop them. Today's mission was to dye the Owl Dragon region red with blood. He clearly remembered every single one of his enemies and participants from the past. The Grand Marshal Venerables who didn't participate in the massacre of Shaolong region fled into the void. The main region was destined to be drowned in the river of blood. There was no suspense in today's battle. It was destined to be a one-sided massacre. Hundreds of clans and millions of experts all stayed in the main region. They glared at Yi Qinghan with no regrets. They only wanted to kill Yi Qinghan again. Since you won't tell the truth, what's the use of keeping you? Then die and repent in the endless hell. Kill. Yi Qinghan took the lead. The 7-foot berserk technique suppressed the heavens. Wherever it passed, corpses were torn apart and blood dyed the ground. Hong. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. More than 10 immortal sex Taoist robes were activated and danced in the sky. More than 10 people surrounded millions of people. With the protection of the immortal sex Taoist robes, Grand Marshal Venerables were nothing. Buzz buzz buzz, Emperor Ye's 4 wings fluttered as he soared into the sky. His burial emperor's chant had shocked the past and present. The Tao hearts of the experts in the main region were shattered as if they had seen the fall of the great emperor. They roared in fear and coughed up blood. They lost control of their chi and blood. The heavenly dipper gloves protected her fingers. There was nothing that could stop the explosion of Zither immortal crimson demon body. Kill those who have enemies with master. Kill all these shameless villains. Emperor Yi opened his eyes. Endless destructive aura swept towards the crowd. Countless people didn't even have time to scream before their bodies were penetrated and their vitality was immediately devoured. The golden bloodline was awakened. He punched through a Tao master expert. He was so crazy. Gu Qingyu pierced through the sky with his sword and killed a Grand Marshal Venerable. He broke into the group of Grand Marshal Venerables and swept across the land with his sword. Yi Qinghan controlled the 7-foot berserk technique with both hands. Baleful aura wrapped around the berserk technique and the berserk technique. The fierceness in his eyes was even more terrifying than an evil spirit. He stared at Lu Su, Azura Qian Yi and Emperor Shen Yi. Use your blood to cleanse Shaolong region. In the name of berserk technique, I bestow upon you all an endless hell. The terrifying voice pierced through the universe. It shook the Tao hearts of the Grand Marshal Venerables outside the 9 heavens. They were extremely terrified. This was killing intent. This was killing intent. It was so powerful that even the heavens didn't dare to move. Boom. Yi Qinghan's immortal sect Tao robe was awakened. Divine light shone brightly. He used the extreme Tao divine dragon step. His speed was unprecedented. He swept across the void and killed Emperor Shen Yi. Shameless villain. I have treated you well. I helped you take down a 5th-grade empire and helped you cultivate. Yet you repaid my kindness with ingratitude. This blade slash for me. Emperor Shen Yi was terrified. He raised his sword and slashed towards Yi Qinghan. His body was trembling. He didn't have any intention to fight. Boom. The berserk technique broke the 5th-grade war sword. The blade light pierced through the void and passed through Emperor Shen Yi's knees. Everything below his knees turned into dust. Pale golden blood spurted out. However, Yi Qinghan raised his blade again. The power of heaven and earth was forcefully conscripted. Nothing dared to go against it. Chapter 193. Ah! Divine Emperor Shen Yi couldn't even take a single blow. His legs were chopped off. The crazy baleful aura sealed off the life force of his legs. He couldn't even regrow his legs. He instantly roared in fear. His miserable cries filled the sky. As the emperor of a 5th-rank dynasty, you didn't care about your people and slaughtered 10 billion of my people. This slash is for my people. Hua! The slash spun and cut Emperor Shen Yi in half. His energy ocean was shattered and his intestines were scattered in the air. His internal organs were all shattered and it made one vomit. Yi Qinghan's aura was terrifying to the extreme. He turned crazy and crushed everything. You don't know how to repent, you don't know how to be a grandmaster. This slash is for the common people. I'll grant you death. Hua! A cold light shone in all directions, illuminating the 10,000 miles of river in Shaolong region. The hearts of the people in the main region stopped beating as they all focused on this slash. Yi Qinghan came from the primordial desolate era and cleaved Imperial Emperor Ye's head into two. Before he died, Emperor Shen Ye's eyes were malevolent, filled with shock and despair. Yi Qinghan slashed 3 times as fast as lightning. The Grandmaster's blood dyed the sky as he died on the spot. Die! Lu Su and Azurachian Yi charged from behind. Their powerful Grandmaster true essence smashed onto Yi Qinghan's back. The immortal sect robe exploded with a terrifying aura and blocked most of the remaining power. Yi Qinghan suddenly turned around. His eyes were vicious as he looked at the two of them with mockery. No rush. All of you will die. The 3 masterminds were the people Yi Qinghan hated the most. He had to kill the 3 of them personally. Numerous experts below were killed by the people of Kuang sect. Shi Gu also participated in the battle. With a wave of his golden brick, it turned into a heaven-covering weapon and crushed many experts. More than 10 immortal sect robes covered all directions, no one could escape. Emperor Yi suppressed the sky. The burial emperor chant was deep and resounding. Its murderous aura shook the hearts and souls of the heroes. Anyone who dared to fly into the sky would only die. However, on the ground, Gu Qingyu's sword Dao was unparalleled, fierce and domineering. A single sword took hundreds of lives, blood gushing out like a broken dam. The Overlord region was dyed red with blood. Endless blood was used to wash away the sins of the mortal world. Screams and roars of struggle intertwined. Some people were repenting, some were cursing, but none of them could escape death. What was the use of repenting at this time? He could only die, and use his soul to repent to the endless souls of Owl War Star in hell. The blood river turned into a torrential river. It was so disgusting that it made one want to vomit. Yi Mingxi had only killed half of it when she ran away. She didn't dare to look at it a second time. It was too cruel. However, the other members of the crazy sect were in high spirits, especially Lin Wutian and Stan Wuxia. They were extremely violent. Wherever they went, no one was a match for them. With the support of the celestial sect Taoist robes, they did not need to defend themselves. Their speed was as fast as lightning, and they were extremely overbearing. In the Star River above the Overlord region, even the great revered martial artist's face was pale. The others vomited and ran away. They didn't even dare to look at such a battlefield, let alone participate. Nangong Yuanhong stood in the void with Nangong Xiaobei and Nangong Qinyue. His heart was cold. If Nangong Yuanhong had really become enemies with Yi Qinghan, there might be more than one battlefield like this. The blood in the sea of blood might have flooded the Overlord region and rushed towards Shaolong Sacred Mountain. The crazy sect. Truly crazy. 12 disciples slaughtered a Overlord region, millions of people. Taiwa didn't vomit. He just silently watched the massacre. The celestial sect Taoist robes on his body emitted light, blocking the aftershock. His wings automatically flew up, allowing him to hide to the side. Yi Qinghan, you will die a horrible death. Lu Su roared, his anger overflowing. Amit Ba. Yi Qinghan, you will be purified by the Buddha. You vicious evil spirit, the great Buddha Golden Temple will send a supreme expert to suppress you. Azura Qianye pretended to die. In fact, he was so shocked that he wanted to kneel down and beg for mercy. However, he knew that even if his head was smashed, Yi Qinghan wouldn't be merciful. Is this considered vicious? It's far inferior to the viciousness you guys forcefully imbued on me back then. Unfortunately, you guys won't be able to see my true viciousness. Lu family, great Buddha Golden Temple, I will uproot them and let their blood drown the souls of your clansmen. Yi Qinghan's killing intent surged as he pointed at Azura Qianye. You bastard, your mouth is full of benevolence, righteousness, and morality. You didn't hurt the ants, but you slaughtered billions of innocent lives on my Owl War Star. I will put you to death by 1,000 cuts. 12 consecutive slashes. Swish. Swish. Ah. You damned evil spirit! Azura Chinya screamed. The prayer beads in his hand scattered as he rushed towards Yi Qinghan. However, they were shattered by the saber energy. How dare you disgust me? I will make you suffer the most painful torment in the world. Yi Qinghan's anger reached the heavens. The person he hated the most in his life was not others, but this hypocrite who was full of benevolence, righteousness, and morality. This greedy and selfish person talked about Buddhism with him, but didn't have any Buddhism in his heart. God sees. Swish. A saber seized the will of heaven and earth, shattering Azura Chinya's leg bone. A heart-wrenching pain spread throughout his body. Baleful energy rushed into his body and wreaked havoc, tearing apart the Buddhist Dharma in his body. The torment caused him to roar and twitch, his eyes wide open. In the name of Berserk, gravity law, descend. Boom. The terrifying gravity law forcibly absorbed all the gravity in the master region. It tore apart Lu Su and Azura Chinya's bodies, fiercely crashing into the blood river. The blood river was pushed aside by gravity, rushing in two directions and drowning the master region. 1,000 times gravity. Descend. The two experts who were as strong as great revered martial artists were sucked to the ground by gravity. Their flesh and blood splattered everywhere. It was extremely difficult for them to struggle to stand up. Even their bones were crushed. The pain of having their bones broken made their eyes bleed. Their bodies twitched, and they could only scream and struggle. Yi Qinghan was venting and tormenting them. He didn't want to end them with a single saber strike. 10,000 times gravity. Descend. I want you to be smashed to pieces. Boom, 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 boom. The earth undulated and all the laws gathered. The waves of blood surged into the sky, drowning the masters of the master region. The crazy sect's disciples flew into the sky, suppressing the masters from above. Crack, crack. Lu Su and Azura Chinya didn't have an intact piece of skin on their bodies. Only their souls were still conscious. The torment of pain caused their will to collapse, and they directly went crazy. Azura Chinya and Lu Su looked on helplessly as they were crushed to pieces, but they didn't die. The despair of knowing that they were about to die was definitely the cruelest torture. I've said it. I want you to die in despair. I've said it before. If there's a next life, I'll kill all of you. Yi Qinghan raised his head and roared. His hatred soared to the sky, and he madly descended from the sky, slashing at the heads of the two. Die. Those who participated in the massacre back then, I'll bury them one by one. Including your clansmen, as long as they're adults, I won't spare any of them. The overflowing evil aura caused Feng Sha's expression to change. This kind of murderous aura was hard for the young masters in their organization to resist. This kind of murderous aura could only be formed by the accumulation of endless hatred. Boom. The saber slashed across the heads of the two great masters, and the three great masters from back then all died tragically on the spot. Before they died, they received a message of endless hatred from Yi Qinghan. Their shameless actions back then had caused their clansmen to fall into a sea of blood. Before they died, their hearts were filled with regret and hatred. Get out of the way! Yi Qinghan held Zhong Kuang in his hands and madly stepped into the crowd. Zhong Kuang wanted to devour the blood qi and endless murderous aura, refining them for his own use. His hands and Zhong Kuang intertwined and merged into one. He forcefully tore apart the great Tao of the Shaolong region. What is he doing? The remaining several 100,000 masters saw Yi Qinghan raise his saber and slash towards them. They immediately roared in fear and anger. When you slaughtered my clansmen back then, their feelings were the same as yours right now. When they were begging for mercy, you were laughing. When they died tragically, you were spitting on them. There were still young babies among them, but you still killed them mercilessly. I can't be as heartless as you, but I'm more ruthless than you. Yi Qinghan's aura became stronger and stronger. His eyes were filled with ruthlessness. He dared to slaughter several 100,000 with a single saber. So what if it was the wrath of heaven? Extreme Tao overturning heaven's style. I'm going to overturn the heavens. Yi Qinghan's voice was filled with ruthlessness. With a slash of his saber, heaven and earth were overturned. The waves of blood were split apart, and the saber energy rushed towards all directions. Puff! Countless people vomited blood from the impact of this aura before they even suffered the terrifying attack. Their Tao hearts were shattered by this murderous aura, and they were scared to death. Ugh! Nangong Qingyue was so scared that her face turned purple. She vomited and ran away madly, escaping from the sky above the main region. The disciples of the insane sect couldn't take it anymore. This kind of massacre was too cruel and heartless. Too ruthless. Only the two young disciples, Si Wuxie and Lin Wutian, could still watch without blinking. Gu Qingyu was indifferent to the life and death of the world. Not to mention a mere million, even if the entire Xiaolong region died, it had nothing to do with him. Everyone else turned their heads and felt nauseous. Although Emperor Yi couldn't bear it in his heart, he still stood firmly behind Yi Qinghan. Even if the entire world was his enemy, he was still willing to stand behind him and be the enemy of all living beings. Boom! The saber swept horizontally across the sky. The saber energy was unstoppable as it pierced through several 100,000 bodies. No one in the world could contend against it. The main region fell into a deathly silence. Even the sea of blood stopped roaring. After a long time, the sky began to rain blood. Countless corpses rolled in the sea of blood. Hiss! Hiss! Nangong Yuanhong took a deep breath. His fingertips trembled as he looked at Yi Qinghan's back. Only then did he realize how wrong it was to let the Xiaolong region grow. Countless creatures died tragically, but he didn't even have the right to speak as the ruler. Fire! Yi Qinghan slaughtered countless experts with one saber without the slightest bit of mercy. His fingertips shook and a wisp of flame appeared in his hand. With a flick of his finger, the flame shot into the endless sea of blood. The fire ignited the vigorous qi and blood. The main region was drowned by the sea of fire and blood and rushed into the sky. The stench of blood and the smell of burning filled the air and rushed into the void. At this moment, no one was willing to look at the main region. Even the people on the Xiaolong sacred mountain could clearly see that the main region had become an endless hell. When dealing with the enemy, only by killing them in a more cruel way will they be afraid. If you are merciful, they will only become worse. Your kindness will only hurt more of your loved ones. Do you understand? Yi Qinghan said coldly to the people of the insane sect. Master, we understand. Si Wuxie and the others said loudly. It's good that you understand. This massacre has just begun. Tonight, I will dye the Xiaolong region with blood. Yi Qinghan's aura was gloomy and emotionless. He gazed at Gu Qingyu and said in a deep voice, Brother Gu, you take Wuxie and Wutian to uproot the great golden Buddha temple and destroy its foundation. I will go to the Xiaolong star. Good. I have long wanted to uproot this great golden Buddha temple. Gu Qingyu sneered. He flapped his wings and broke through the sky, disappearing without a trace. Yi Qinghan coldly glanced at Nangong Yuanhong and took everyone to the sky, shooting towards the Xiaolong star. Chapter 194. The skies of the main region were all red. An endless sea of blood roared as corpses and bones flowed with the waves. Soon after, the blood color of the main region spread to the entire Owl-Dragon region. Some families felt guilty and drove their large cloud-piercing ships to escape into the void, but they were cut in half at the waist. Countless people died tragically in the Starry River, their corpses floating in the void. On Owl-Dragon Planet, countless major powers were terrified. They all separated themselves from the families that had participated in the massacre of Owl Dragon Planet and even launched an attack in advance. Before Yi Qinghan arrived, they had already been massacred. The Lu family was majestic and vast, but at this moment it was lifeless. Lu Ning's immortal sect robe awakened. It flapped the sky and looked down on everyone. Those who participated in the Battle of Owl Dragon Planet, come out. I remember all of you. Don't force me to capture you personally. Lu Ning was vicious and merciless. She wanted to take action in advance to suppress the people from back then. Even if she couldn't express goodwill to Yi Qinghan, she could still reduce the casualties. However, some people from the Lu family didn't understand her and scolded her for being an ingrate. You have the immortal sect robe. Why are you afraid of Yi Qinghan? Why don't you dare to fight him to the death? You scum, you ingrate. You are a disgrace to the Lu family. Pa! A divine whip appeared in Lu Ning's hand. It was much more terrifying than the whip she had used before. It contained the laws of the Great Tao. This divine whip was specially made by Yi Qinghan to trap everyone. She was the last to awaken, so the divine whip was tied to her body and not removed. In the end, Yi Qinghan didn't take it away. Whoosh! The divine whip tore through the void and pierced through the bodies of the cursing middle-aged experts. They were all murderers who had participated in the massacre of Owl Dragon Planet. With a move of her jade-like hand, the divine whip shattered the bodies of several people. Only their heads remained with malevolent eyes. All of you, come out. Don't make me say it a third time. Lu Ning's killing intent surged. The sense of crisis made her feel more and more urgent. If she didn't take action now, it would be too late. I admit my mistake. I did participate in the massacre back then, but my wife and children were not at fault. An old man from the Lu family walked out. Not at fault? Then why did you slaughter other people's wives and children back then? Lu Ning sneered and angrily rebuked. Fourth grandfather, your 3 sons also participated in that. I'll give them 5 breaths of time. If they don't appear in front of me, I'll slaughter your entire family. This will save the innocent Lu family. Lu Sihai's expression changed slightly. He glared at Lu Ning and said coldly, how many people can Yi Qinghan remember? This old man bore all the responsibility for that matter back then. If you want to kill me, come at me. You can't handle it alone. A cold and emotionless voice reverberated through the sky and shook the Xiaolong star. The strong warriors didn't dare to come out. Even the great revered martial artists were holed up in their families. Yi Qinghan took Emperor Yi and stepped into the Lu family's courtyard. His limpid eyes stared coldly at Lu Sihai with monstrous willpower. The horrible pressure forced Lu Sihai to kneel down. His kneecaps were broken. The ground of the Lu family cracked, and half of Lu Sihai's body was buried underground. Endless gravity gathered. Lu Sihai, who was at the peak of the Tao Master Realm, could not even move a finger. He was suppressed by one look. Lu Sihai was bleeding all over. His bones were all broken. His soul was in extreme pain, but he couldn't faint. Panic and despair made his eyes ferocious. Lu Ning's body was tense. She didn't expect Yi Qinghan to come so fast that she didn't have time to react. Senior Yi. Lu Ning wanted to save more people but didn't dare to say more. Go away. This has nothing to do with you. Yi Qinghan said coldly. Yi Qinghan spread out his divine sense to search for the souls he was familiar with. He waved his hand and hundreds of strong warriors were forcibly brought to the courtyard. They were all forced to kneel on the ground by the gravity. Lu Ning, leave all the direct descendants of these people here. You take the others away. I will only give you 30 minutes. If you dare to take one more person, I will destroy the Lu family. Yi Qinghan was still keeping his promise to the Lu clan. He wasn't prepared to slaughter the entire Lu clan. Today, he would repay this favor with lives. Lu Ning quickly organized some innocent people to leave the Lu family. After 30 minutes, Lu Ning returned to the courtyard and waited for the arrangement of fate. Boom! Yi Qinghan's will was overwhelming. The law of gravity descended and the entire Lu family's palace collapsed. Countless creatures were killed and buried along with the ground. Lu Sihai and the others roared. They wanted to struggle, but when they saw their flesh and blood turning into powder, despair filled their minds. Their hearts were filled with regret. Yi Qinghan watched the Lu family sink into the ground coldly. He turned and rushed to the Wang family, followed by the Zhang family. On this day, dozens of families sank on Owl Dragon's star. The total death toll was more than 100 million. The difference between this number and the death toll of Owl Dragon's star was huge. In Tianya Valley, 2 strong warriors were calculating with their fingers. However, endless dark clouds filled the sky. There was no sign of life. Death Qi descended and covered heaven's secrets. Their expressions changed greatly. Owl Dragon region is finished, the 2 experts said at the same time. Their faces were deathly pale. Only they knew that the entire Xiaolong region was going to be finished. No one could escape. Everyone was going to suffer, regardless of whether they were the participants of the tragedy of Xiao Zhanxing or the innocent people. I wonder if Tianya Valley can become a pure land. Ask the Almighty of Tianji sect to come and protect Yizi. We can't protect him anymore, Tianya Zi said in a deep voice. I'll inform him now. Tianji Zi was about to take out his communication talisman. However, a terrifying pressure appeared above Tianya Valley and pounced on the entire Owl Dragon region. A supreme expert descended. A true almighty expert who had lived for thousands of years. No need. I already know. A voice filled with vicissitudes of life exploded in Tianya Valley. The protective formation of Tianya Valley turned into rotten wood and was destroyed by a will. An old man descended. The supreme elder of Tianji sect, Tianji Dragon, had the demeanor of a transcendent being. His gray battle robe swayed in the void. No one knew how long he had lived and how strong he was. It was rumored that nothing in the world could hide from him. As long as he calculated with his fingers, no heaven's secrets could be hidden from him. Greetings, Supreme Elder. Tianya Zi and Tianji Zi knelt on the ground at the same time. They were extremely respectful. Get up. Ask Yizi to come and see me, Tianji Dragon said in a deep voice. At this moment, Yi Lingyu walked out with Yi Jianmo. He looked at the old man and bowed respectfully. Tianji Dragon glanced at Yi Lingyu and saw through his origin. There was a trace of shock in his eyes. So Yizi's vitality is in you. No wonder heavens will pointed Yizi's vitality to such a small galaxy. Tianji Dragon's eyes flashed as he said in a low voice. The sky of Owl Dragon region was dyed red. Endless baleful aura rushed into the clouds. It was disgusting and terrifying. The massacre lasted for a day and a night. All the participants of the tragedy of Owl Dragon War Star were suppressed. Their clansmen were implicated. Countless people were frightened and relieved. Yi Qinghan and the others gathered. They were covered in blood from the massacre. Even their wings were dyed red. Just as they were about to leave, golden light paved the way in the sky. Strands of Emperor's might were vast and mighty, intimidating the endless universe. An Emperor-level expert had appeared. The great Tao of the entire Owl Dragon region was trembling. Tianji Dragon in Tianya Valley was shocked. An Emperor-level expert had not appeared for many years. What had alarmed such a supreme existence? Heaven and earth anomalies appeared. The shadows of divine dragons and phoenixes from the 9 heavens intertwined and circled around the Emperor. The Emperor traversed the endless universe and descended on this weak Owl Dragon region. He looked through the origin of the void and fixed his gaze on Yi Qinghan and the others. Yi Qinghan's pupils shrank. He saw the word kill on the Emperor-level expert's body. It was very similar to Feng Sha's, but more soul-stirring. It suppressed all the Tao in the universe. When the Emperor descended, The boundless might made people unable to raise their heads. Yi Qinghan lowered his head. This was not something that could be resolved with willpower. The Emperor's aura was vast like the universe. His appearance represented the appearance of the heavenly Tao of heaven and earth. No one could resist him. "Greetings, Emperor." Feng Sha respectfully prostrated on the ground. Yi Qinghan immediately understood. This emperor had come for Si Wuxia. "Greetings, Emperor." Yi Qinghan knelt on one knee and held his blade to welcome the emperor. The emperor had sacrificed his life for the human race. He had fought in the Forbidden Lands and the demon race. He had suffered a lot and gave the human race a chance to breathe. He was worthy of respect. Regardless of whether they could surpass him in the future, they had to show him some respect now. Rise. The emperor's surroundings were filled with primal chaos. No one could see through it. Only the word "kill" could be heard. The emperor's might made the sky wail. His eyes were like torches as he looked at Si Wuxia. He nodded and said, "It is indeed the golden bloodline." Si Wuxia's eyes flickered. His entire body was golden. His golden bloodline was instantly awakened as he looked directly at the emperor. "Child, are you willing to take me as your master?" "I already have a master. I don't need another master." Si Wuxia's rejection was straightforward. It made countless people go crazy. The emperor had accepted a disciple. He had actually been rejected. What was in this brat's head? The emperor was stunned. Clearly, he did not expect to receive such an answer after crossing the endless universe. "Is it him?" The emperor pointed at Yi Qinghan. A strange look flashed in his eyes. He was very satisfied with Yi Qinghan's neither servile nor overbearing performance. He felt that such a genius was worth nurturing. "Yes. I only recognize this master and this group of senior sisters, junior brothers and senior brothers," Si Wuxia replied proudly. The emperor swept his gaze across the crowd and realized that Emperor Yi had his eyes closed. He was in awe of him but did not show any fear. Most of the others were the same. He could not help but be curious. How did Yi Qinghan nurture these geniuses? "Open your eyes." The emperor looked at Emperor Yi and said in a low voice. There was a terrifying will that made it impossible for anyone to reject. Emperor Yi looked up and opened his eyes. A destructive aura pierced through the void and shot towards the emperor. The space around the emperor was blocked. There was no Tao. Even the destructive reincarnation could not pass through. However, Emperor Ye's eyes made him tremble. He did not speak for a long time. Although he was supreme and had a powerful will, he could not recognize the zither immortal crimson demon physique. He also did not understand why Emperor Ye's eyes were so terrifying. "This is..." The emperor was shocked. His eyes were filled with doubt. Yi Qinghan hesitated for a moment but did not reveal Emperor Ye's identity. It was not that he did not trust the emperor. It was just that he did not want to trust anyone when it came to Emperor Yi. "Young man, this small starfield is too small. Are you willing to follow me into the endless universe? I am willing to nurture all of you and let you become unparalleled experts to fight for the human race." The emperor was very smart. He knew that these children had been completely subdued by Yi Qinghan. It was unrealistic to take one or all of them away unless he forcefully suppressed their memories. However, that was not what he wanted. Chapter 195. For the sake of Emperor Yi and the Golden Bloodline, he did not mind taking away a few more. Furthermore, Yi Qinghan and the others were worth nurturing. At the very least, they could become immortal sections. Yi Qinghan frowned. He did not know what kind of existence this organization was. It had appeared out of nowhere, and even the Divine Martial Emperor Code did not have any records of it. How could there be an Emperor-level expert? Perhaps the Divine Martial Emperor Code had records of it. However, although the divine martial emperor code was powerful and could recognize its own master, it was not invincible. Yi Qinghan bowed and asked, "May I ask your name, Emperor? Who are you?" "I have yet to prove my Tao and am only a quasi-emperor. My name is Di Shang, and I am still 1,000 miles away from becoming an emperor. We wear the killer uniform and have been known as the Savage Hunters since the beginning of the Savage Era. Our duty is to hunt down the experts of the Fiend race, the geniuses of the Fiend race, and kill the ferocious spirits. The strongest young experts of the Savage Era are gathered here, and even the weakest of them is a supreme battle king of a region. Furthermore, we have to undergo strict tests." Quasi-Emperor Di Shang stared at Yi Qinghan and said, "The Fiend race also has an organization like this, but their duty is to kill the geniuses of the Fiend race. You cannot protect the golden bloodline. This little girl might attract the ferocious spirits, and the entire star field will be wiped out." Di Shang had never heard of his name before. He had contributed silently for the sake of becoming an emperor. Even if his emperor blood dyed the entire universe red, no one would know his name. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath. He was shocked by this organization. The weakest of them was a battle king of a region. How strong would the strongest be? Special constitutions could be found everywhere. Furthermore, he knew that Di Shang was telling the truth. The appearance of the golden bloodline would definitely attract the attention of the super forces. The ancient desolate slaughter hall had only arrived earlier because Feng Sha had informed them in advance. Otherwise, the Owl Dragon star field would have been destroyed by countless experts. The ferocious spirits and experts of the 10,000 races would have all gathered in this desolate star field. The only fortunate thing was that outsiders could not recognize Emperor Yi. However, there was no guarantee that someone would recognize him. That would be the real problem. Yi Qinghan really wanted to become a hunter. He wanted to hunt down fiend geniuses and ferocious spirits. Only by becoming a hunter could one truly reach the peak of the endless world. There are no rules in this organization. Strength speaks for itself. The more monster race geniuses you kill, the more contribution points you will receive. With contribution points, you can exchange for any secret technique or weapon you want. Gu Qingyu's eyebrows twitched. It seemed that he was particularly interested in this hunter organization. Being a hunter was the kind of life he wanted. Without being restrained, everything depended on his mood. Yi Qinghan asked in a serious voice, "Emperor, will this organization not affect my establishment of a sect outside?" "Let me put it this way. What you have joined is only the identity of a hunter, not our organization. Those who want to join must be above the divine martial realm. You also need to pass a test to become a hunter. Hunters are divided into 9 stars. You can only truly join the organization if you become a 5-star hunter. If you want to become a hunter, you need to exchange contribution points. Killing a Tao Master Spirit Beast will give you 1 contribution point. Killing a Tao Master Ferocious Spirit will give you 10 contribution points. Killing a king-level demonic beast bloodline will give you 100 contribution points, and so on. 100 contribution points will make you a 1-star hunter. 1,000 contribution points will make you a 2-star hunter. 3 stars will make you 10,000. 4 stars will make you 100,000. Those who can become 4-star hunters and above are the true elites of the human race. Di Shang explained patiently. It could be seen how much he wanted to take in the golden bloodline and cultivate it. A sect with 2 emperors would be unparalleled glory. This level would stimulate the geniuses to constantly improve and kill demonic beasts to buy time for the human race. Therefore, the organization will not restrict you in any external matters. As long as you don't betray the human race, you can do anything. Di Shang looked down at Yi Qinghan, hoping to get his nod. The golden bloodline was too important. Feng Sha was excited. This time, as long as he helped the organization obtain the golden bloodline, he would instantly become a 2-star hunter. he would receive at least 1,000 contribution points. Brother Yi, the golden bloodline has already appeared. The ferocious spirits and demonic beasts will soon receive the news. For the safety of the golden bloodline and your sect, you should follow the Emperor back to the endless universe. Becoming a hunter is the lifelong wish of the invincible battle kings. When you reach the endless universe, you will understand how many people are racking their brains to become a hunter. Even if it's just a peripheral hunter like me, it's still an honor. Also, as long as you have the identity of a hunter, the human race won't dare to attack you. Feng Sha cupped his fists and said. Yi Qinghan and Gu Qingyu looked at each other. Their eyes were filled with fighting spirit. They were unyielding and unyielding. They were confident that they wouldn't lose to the geniuses of the endless universe. They could definitely become a 9-star hunter. Emperor, we are willing to go to the endless universe. However, we beg you to take the 8th rank Kuei Cow from Alfal Star away. It will be a disaster if it stays here. Yi Qinghan bowed and said. He wanted to fight for a chance of survival for Alfal Star. There's an 8th rank Kuei Cow here? Emperor Shang was stunned. Then, he was overjoyed. This was an unexpected harvest. In the blood prison of Alfal Star, roar! The Kuei Cow seemed to have sensed the terrifying smell of blood in the outside world. It wanted to break free and roared continuously. The entire Alfal region could hear it. I'll take it away. Prepare yourselves. I'll take you away to the endless universe. The great emperor was overjoyed and stepped into the Alfal Star. The star formation was nothing in his eyes, not even ripples could be seen as he stepped into the blood prison. The giant hand that blotted out the sky suppressed the blood prison, causing the entire blood prison to sink. The Kuei Ox roared as despair appeared in its eyes. Submit. Or die, Emperor Shang said coldly. He broke through the blood sea and suppressed the evil fiend with his emperor aura. The Kuei Cow that had been suppressed for tens of thousands of years was unwilling to submit. It roared and struggled. However, although it was powerful, it was facing a quasi-emperor that was half a level higher than it. Under the circumstances of a lower level, true geniuses could fight above their level. However, after reaching the divine martial realm, even the slightest difference would result in instant death. There was no resistance at all. Yi Qinghan quickly found Shi Ge and Feng Wuxie. He wanted to bring them into the endless universe and work together to establish a 9th-rank dynasty that truly belonged to them. And they were the first batch of foundations. Brother Shi, Brother Feng, are you interested in going to the endless universe with us? Yi Qinghan asked. Shi Ge and Feng Wuxie were overjoyed. With the Emperor's protection, they would not have to worry about high-level powerhouses in the endless universe. Even if they could not become hunters, they could slowly work hard. Of course, I don't want to stay in this crappy star region anymore. The endless universe is the place where we can witness the glory. Shi Ge said excitedly. Thank you, Brother Yi. I am willing to go to the endless universe. Feng Wuxie was overjoyed. The unparalleled Battle King had thought of him before leaving. This was already a great acknowledgement. Now that he wanted to bring him to the endless universe, it meant that he had already made his intentions clear. That's good. I don't have anything good to give you, just an immortal sect robe and a pair of Big Dipper gloves. Yi Qinghan smiled and waved his hand to give Feng Wuxie a set of robe and Big Dipper gloves. This made Feng Wuxie very excited. A 6th-rank immortal sect robe was even better than Nangong Yuanhong's robe. With the Big Dipper gloves, ordinary immortal sect powerhouses would have to put in a lot of effort to kill him. Hua, the Tianji dragon, appeared with the two. It did not approach Yi Qinghan but stared at Yi Qinghan and the golden bloodline Si Wuxie. When it saw Emperor Yi, it trembled and its eyes were filled with disbelief. Sir, can you let that little girl open her eyes and let me take a look? The Tianji dragon asked in shock. Yi Qinghan looked at the Tianji dragon. He knew that this dragon was a terrifying existence of the Tianji sect. Moreover, the Tianji sect had always had a high status and many people did not want to offend them. Sometimes, even the Yao race had to give them face. Senior seems to have recognized my son's constitution. Yi Qinghan was surprised. This Tianji sect was indeed terrifying. Even the great emperor could not recognize Emperor Ye's constitution, but the Tianji dragon could. It was indeed extraordinary. Is it the supreme zither immortal crimson demon physique? The Tianji dragon stared at Yi Qinghan and asked in a low voice. Yes. Senior, please keep this a secret. Yi Qinghan's expression changed and he nodded solemnly. As expected. Does the great emperor know? The Tianji dragon asked again. Yi Qinghan shook his head. Sigh, it's better to keep this a secret. Otherwise, chaos will come early and countless living beings will die tragically. The Tianji dragon sighed. He was not happy but shocked. Yi Qinghan's expression was serious. He reached out and pulled Emperor Yi over. The zither immortal crimson demon physique was perhaps a tragic constitution. He himself did not have much confidence in protecting it. The Tianji dragon continued to scan the disciples of the insane sect. When he saw Yi Mingxi, he frowned and pinched his fingers to calculate. It was all hazy and he could not see the origin. When he saw Tai Hua, his face turned pale. He personally threw out a copper coin to calculate. Boom! The 9 heavens divine lightning appeared out of nowhere and tore through the universe's shackles. The Tianji dragon's skin and flesh were torn apart. His blood dyed the sky red. He spat out a mouthful of blood and his eyes were filled with fear. A divine martial realm expert. He could not even calculate the trajectory of a mortal. Instead, he was punished by the heavens. Yi Qinghan and Gu Qingyu looked at each other and looked at this weirdo. How many elixirs and spirit crystals did this kid eat? He could not even open his sea of qi. How could he injure a divine martial realm expert of the Tianji sect to such an extent? Yi Jianma's eyes flashed as he stared at Tai Hua. After a long time, he stopped talking. Yi Lingyu stared at the crowd. He had a strange feeling in his heart. Yi Qinghan could always gather terrifying geniuses or strange people around him. Cough cough. The Tianji dragon flew over from afar. His divine robe was torn apart and he was in a sorry state. He did not dare to calculate the trajectory of Tai Hua's life anymore. Nangong Yuanhong also came with 2 young men and a young girl. One was Nangong Xiaobei and the other was Nangong Qingyue. The other young man's aura was restrained and his appearance was very ordinary. However, the blood energy in his body was constantly burning. His black hair was thick and his black robe danced in the wind. He emitted a special charm. He was the number 1 of the younger generation of the Shaolong region, Muyo Tianchen. Chapter 196. Yi Qinghan remembered Muyo Tianchen. When Yi Qinghan was conferred the title of Battle Monarch, Muyo Tianchen was still young. By the time Muyo Tianchen rose to prominence, Yi Qinghan and the others were already conquering the star field. Yi Qinghan had also met Muyo Tianchen when he was conferred the title of Battle Monarch. Yi Qinghan's impression of Muyo Tianchen was that Muyo Tianchen was not smart, arrogant, or overbearing. He seemed easygoing and unrestrained, but was actually very steady. However, Yi Qinghan always felt that this kind of person was a contradiction. Brother Yi, I didn't expect to see you again. Muyo Tianchen cupped his fists and said. Yi Qinghan smiled and nodded. Tianchen, it's been 15 years since we last met. Even I can't see through your cultivation now. It's just a coincidence. I'm not as lucky as you. Muyo Tianchen's unruly face revealed a trace of regret as he said, but it's really a pity. I went into seclusion 2 times in a row and missed the opportunity to fight alongside you. Ha ha ha. Yi Qinghan laughed. Indeed, Muyo Tianquan's luck was really bad. Every time he wanted to fight for treasures, he would miss the opportunity. He could be considered the most unlucky genius in Xiaolong region. Tianquan, it's easy if you want to fight alongside me. Come with me to the endless universe. There will be plenty of opportunities. Yi Qinghan's eyes flickered. He wanted to kidnap this genius and make him a member of Kuang's sect. The corner of Nangong Yuanhong's mouth twitched. He only wanted to bring his disciple and child to meet the great emperor and obtain some opportunities. He didn't want to let Yi Qinghan kidnap his disciple. Senior Yi, can we go too? Nangong Qingyue and Nangong Xiaobei asked in unison. Nangong Yuanhong. Yi Qinghan coldly glanced at Nangong Yuanhong. He had long been dissatisfied with this old thing. He nodded without hesitation and said, Yes, you can come with us if you want to go. Nangong Yuanhong's eyes twitched. He wanted to stop them, but Muyo Tianquan also stepped forward and laughed. If we can follow the great emperor into the endless universe, we won't have to worry about the human race's experts. How can we refuse such a good thing? This is the luckiest moment of my life. Big brother Tianquan, we also want to go. Nangong Qingyue said coquettishly as she tugged at the corner of Muyo Tianquan's clothes. Go play on the side. You are still young. Wait for me to conquer the endless territories, then I will take you to the endless universe. Muyo Tianquan did not hesitate to reject the request of the two followers who had followed him since they were young. I don't want to. He wanted to go to the endless universe. With you and Senior Yi here, who can do anything to us? Moreover, Senior Yi had already agreed. If Shi Guo and Feng Wuxie can go, why can't we? Nangong Qingyue was already used to Muyo Tianquan's tone and didn't care at all. Her coquettish voice made people's bones go soft. Muyo Tianquan's face was filled with black lines. He hated this kind of coquettish behavior the most because he couldn't resist it. Tianquan, take him with you. The endless universe is the place for geniuses to grow quickly. Besides, people from small starfields like us are destined to be bullied. There is strength in numbers, Yi Qinghan said calmly. When Nangong Qingyue heard this, she immediately looked at Muyo Tianquan with watery eyes. It was up to Muyo Tianquan to decide whether to take him or not. She couldn't change his decision. Nangong Xiaobei's eyes shone and he said in a low voice, Big brother Tianquan, I don't care if Qingyue goes or not, but I want to go. Hey, what are you saying? If I can't go, I will definitely pull you back. Don't even think about going anywhere. Nangong Qingyue was furious. This brother of hers was simply here to drag her down. All right, stop arguing. When you reach the endless universe, stay calm. That place is not the Xiaolong region. Muyo Tianquan's aura changed. His entire temperament became dignified, and he no longer had the easygoing attitude. The corner of Nangong Yuanhong's mouth twitched. The three juniors had decided, and he didn't have a chance to speak. The endless golden era might really descend in this era. I don't know if the geniuses born in this era are sad or glorious. The Tianji dragon sighed inwardly. He stared at the sky, his heart filled with uncertainty about the future. Hua! Roar! A monstrous sea of blood rushed out from the Xiaolong star, forming a huge curtain in the sky that covered time and space. A terrifying heavenly bull that was bigger than a mountain rushed out from the Xiaolong star and rushed to the center of the Xiaolong region in the blink of an eye. Yi Qinghan and the others were shocked. They protected the group of little fellows and frantically retreated. Kuei bull! My God, why is it in such a small starfield? The Tianji dragon was shocked. He waved his hand, and a huge 8 trigrams formation appeared in front of him, blocking the Kuei bull's path. Behave! A dignified voice resounded throughout the Xiaolong region. The mighty emperor's aura suppressed the Kuei bull's head, crushing its body and causing blood to splatter everywhere. Di Shang's intent shocked the Kuei bull so much that it didn't dare to move. He stood on the Kuei bull's head and looked down at everyone. He waved his hand and captured Yi Qinghan and the others. He then said to the Tianji dragon, "Kid, do you want me to bring you along?" Only such a terrifying emperor was qualified to call the 1,000-year-old Tianji dragon kid. The Tianji dragon's face reddened as he nodded repeatedly. Di Shang casually waved his hand and the 8 trigrams formation shattered. The Tianji dragon, who was in the divine martial realm, didn't even have a chance to resist before he was captured and placed on the Kuei bull's back. After reaching the divine martial realm, one would advance with each step. The difference between a quasi-emperor and a divine martial realm was not big, but the difference in strength was like heaven and earth. The Kuei bull left Nangong Yuanhong alone in the astral wind. The 8th rank Kuei ox's speed was extremely fast, causing the river of stars to flow in reverse. This was especially true for its 2 horns, which were comparable to emperor weapons. The group stood proudly in the wind. Yi Qinghan's eyes were filled with fighting spirit. The boundless universe, the place where countless people yearned for, was a place where experts gathered. The true geniuses would rise here. The parrot seemed to have been asleep for a long time. Its bloodline had broken through and entered the 6th rank. At this moment it looked like a big rooster. It didn't see the situation clearly and laughed proudly. "This divine bird has broken through. Hoo hoo hoo," the wind blew. Everyone looked at the parrot. They were all familiar faces, except for Nangong Qingyue and Nangong Xiaobei. Di Shang's eyebrows twitched. He glanced at the parrot and said, "Spirit-devouring godly eagle? F***CK, Great Emperor!" The parrot's feathers exploded. It jumped behind Yi Qinghan with a frightened expression. Di Shang. "Wow, what a cute parrot!" Nangong Qingyue was happy. She reached out to grab the parrot. "Stop. Otherwise, don't blame this divine bird for being impolite." The parrot rolled its eyes. It didn't know her at all. The huge Kuei bull was like a revolving star. The people on it weren't affected by the astral wind and were very stable. They all looked at the parrot as if they were watching a play. Yi Qinghan opened his eyes and said indifferently, "We're all friends. Don't be rude." "Oh, your friend. Your friend is my friend." The parrot immediately changed its attitude and grinned. "Quickly come to my shoulder." Nangong Qingyue immediately took a liking to this parrot and immediately reached out her hand. "Are you sure? I'm very heavy. I'm afraid I'll crush you." The parrot was cocky. It was afraid that others didn't know it could use the law of gravity. Nangong Qingyue didn't understand the parrot's scheming and said confidently, "TCH, I can catch a dozen little things like you." Whoosh, the parrot sat on Nangong Qingyue's shoulder and used the law of gravity. Nangong Qingyue's expression changed and her legs trembled. "Aya, go away. You want me to come and you want me to leave and I'll leave? How embarrassing." Everyone from the Kuang sect knew the parrot was very cheap. Seeing Nangong Qingyue suffer, they all covered their mouths and snickered. "Brother Tianqin." Nangong Qingyue wanted to cry. She felt like she was carrying a 10,000-pound sandbag. How was this a lousy bird? It was clearly an extremely dense miser. Mu Tianqin's face darkened. What kind of people were Yi Qinghan's side? Even a bird could bully people. He grabbed the parrot and threatened, "Little thing, if you dare to be cocky again, I'll pluck all your feathers." The parrot felt the spirit energy in its body quickly depleting and immediately knew that Mu Tianqin wasn't someone to be trifled with. It immediately became flattering and said wretchedly, "I'm just playing with her. Don't be angry. Lousy bird. Lousy bird, I'll ignore you in the future." Nangong Qingyue was furious. She had always been the one bullying others. When had she ever been bullied by others? Today, she was bullied by a bird. Yi Qinghan was also drunk on the parrot. It bullied the weak and feared the strong. It was simply a disgrace to him. Everyone laughed. Even Di Shang was amused by the parrot. The heavenly fate dragon was curious and wanted to study the so-called spirit-devouring divine eagle. The parrot escaped from Mu Tianqian's hands and ran to Yi Qinghan's shoulder. Only then did it notice that there were many strangers around, and they were all very powerful. Especially when it saw the heavenly fate dragon's eyes that wanted to dissect it, it immediately exploded. "Damn old man, you dare to have crooked thoughts about me? I'll kill you another day." The parrot didn't dare to fight with the divine martial experts, but it cursed inwardly. With the parrot accompanying them, the journey was much less boring. The 8th rank Kuei traveled day and night, continuously traveling for more than a month. They crossed countless starfields, including some dead regions. Finally, they arrived at a boundless starfield. Countless vicious beasts flew in the sky and burrowed into the ground. They were of all shapes and sizes, and it was impossible to identify what species they were. Roar! The Kuei roared, and the vicious beasts fled. However, some vicious beasts glared at the Kuei and roared. A rare eagle's sharp claws shook the starry river. Its eyes were like torches as it flitted past the Kuei, as if deliberately provoking it. Di Shang suddenly stood up, his imperial robes fluttering. His eyes shot out a beam of light that shook the world. "Great Emperor, what's wrong?" The heavenly fate dragon's heart trembled. He felt a killing intent envelop him, and his expression changed greatly. The great Emperor was here, yet someone dared to kill them. It seems that the Supreme Yao experts know that the golden bloodline has appeared. They came quite quickly. This great Emperor is impressed. Di Shang's voice was majestic, and his aura overpowered the heavens. The entire starfield was collapsing, and the will of his eyes caused the great Tao to tremble. "Di Shang, you knew that the golden bloodline had appeared, yet you dared to come alone to welcome it. Aren't you too confident?" A voice exploded in the starry river, and the endless universe trembled. A supreme pressure enveloped the starfield, and the expressions of the eccentric sex people changed greatly. Chapter 197. The Demon Emperor had appeared. Azure light filled the sky as a pair of wings covered the sky. With a light shake, the stars were all disrupted by the wings. Azure Pung, the bloodline of the ancient Pung, a supreme existence. Screech. A sharp roar caused everyone to vomit blood and faint. Yi Qinghan bled from his 7 orifices and almost fainted. If his soul wasn't abnormally strong, he might have fainted on the spot. The heavenly fate dragon coughed up blood. Yi Lingyu's eyes were ferocious. The demon dragon saber wrapped around his golden body and blocked most of the soul attack. Yi Jianma's sea of consciousness emitted a golden light and was unharmed. The Azure Ping had only let out a casual roar. With Emperor Shang protecting everyone, they couldn't resist. The Demon Emperor realm was indeed the Demon Emperor realm. A single eye's intent could suppress non-Emperor realm experts. Most of the Kuang sect's people vomited blood and fainted. Emperor Ye's divine zither came out of his body and emitted a divine light to protect his weak body. He was also unharmed. However, Taiwa was a little terrifying. He felt as if he didn't have a soul and couldn't feel anything at all. His eyes widened as he looked curiously at the Azure Ping Demon Emperor, as if he was looking at an ordinary bird. Shi Ji's golden brick shone brightly and protected his body. He retreated several steps with a pale face. Mu Yu Tianqian sat cross-legged on the Kuei cow. A scripture page appeared on his chest, emitting a supreme law that blocked all attack. Even Nangong Qinyue and the others behind him were protected. Emperor Shang frowned. He had personally taken action this time because he was worried about the safety of the golden bloodline. He didn't expect the demon race to be able to stop them. Azure Pung, you came to human territory. Do you want to fight to the death with me? Emperor Shang emitted his emperor's aura to protect everyone behind him. The Azure Pung spread its wings and instantly arrived before everyone. The Kuei cow roared, not daring to blaspheme. The Azure Pung was a peak 8th grade beast, and could be considered a quasi-emperor. It wasn't something a beginner 8th grade beast like it could compare to. In an instant, the Azure Pung transformed into a human. The wings on its back flapped gently, and a violent wind howled. Emperor Shang, I have to say that humans are really stupid. Do you think I'm the only one here? The Azure Pung mocked. Whoosh! Just as Qing Ping finished speaking, a figure filled with death qi and reincarnation appeared in front of everyone. There was no sign of life, as if it was formed by death qi. It was unknown how many creatures it had devoured to become so powerful. You dare to cooperate with the dead spirits of the forbidden area? Di Shang was enraged. The dead spirits were the mortal enemies of all living beings. These destructive beings that relied on the vitality and souls of living beings to survive should not exist. They were the mortal enemies of the human race and all other races. Dead spirits were faintly discernible. They were all extremely powerful supreme existences that were unwilling to die. They devoured endless life force and forcefully stayed in this world. Under the influence of the laws of the Great Tao, they could only hole up in a land of death without any life force, forming a huge forbidden land. They normally wouldn't leave the forbidden land, because their bodies weren't recognized by the laws of the Great Tao. Once they left the forbidden land, they would turn into rotten wood and be attacked by heavenly lightning. However, when necessary, they would leave their physical bodies and appear in an illusory state. Their strength would be greatly reduced. Therefore, the dead spirits all wanted to devour the great emperor's soul, seize the Tao fruit, and occupy the great emperor's body. Such dead spirits could run amok in the universe, no longer restricted by the great Tao. Half of the endless universe would be destroyed. The baleful aura of the dead spirits was too heavy. Even the body of a god martial realm cultivator couldn't withstand their death qi and would instantly rot. The body of a great emperor was their target, but great emperors were also their natural enemies. Di Shang wasn't afraid of the faintly discernible dead spirit. However, once he was entangled by the Azure Pung, the dead spirits could kill the golden bloodline and seize the golden saint blood to refine the golden body in the Forbidden Land. In that case, their physical bodies would be recognized by the heavenly Tao. It was no different from seizing the body of a great emperor. It wasn't that Di Shang was confident, but that he didn't expect the Azure Pung to be so shameless as to cooperate with the dead spirits. That was why he went to the Shaolong region alone to pick up Tan Wuxia. Azure Pung, have you gone mad? If it seizes the golden saint blood, half of the endless universe will be destroyed. You monsters won't be able to escape this calamity. Di Shang questioned angrily. Ha ha ha, this old man's time is almost up. I also want to go to the Forbidden Land. As long as I have the golden saint blood, I will have a chance to prove my Tao. I will become a true great emperor, go against the heavens, and live another life. Why can't I cooperate with the dead spirits? The Azure Pung laughed and looked at Tan Wuxia. His face was full of desire, and he couldn't wait to devour the golden saint blood. Di Shang sucked in a breath of cold air and looked at the Azure Pung in disbelief. He didn't expect him to be so despicable. He wanted to enter the Forbidden Land even before his Tao transformation. Are you still a Boundary Emperor expert? Where is your Tao heart? You haven't died, and you want to enter the Forbidden Land and become a dead spirit. You? Di Shang's anger surged, and his black hair tore through the void. He waved his hand, and all things in the void became weapons that gathered in front of him. He wanted to fight to the death with the other party. Kakik. Pedantic. All things are ant. Only by proving one's Tao can one defy the heavens. Only then can one live forever. Di Shang, you are really stupid. You have opposed the Forbidden Land for thousands of years, but you don't know that you are all raised by us supreme existences. You can never kill us, but we can exhaust your life force. Stop resisting and become one with me. I will let you witness supreme glory. The dead spirit's voice was ear-piercing, and it was like a sharp knife stabbing into everyone's heart. Emperor Yi held Yi Qinghan's hand tightly and used the divine zither to protect him. At this moment, other than the scriptures on Mu Yu Tianqian's body that could protect him, even Shi Ji's golden brick seemed powerless. Tai Hua was still looking at the dead spirit with his big eyes. There was no longer curiosity in his eyes, but anger. His sea of consciousness was empty and endless, as if he had no soul. He didn't care about the soul pressure and attacks of the emperors at all. Damn it! Don't forget that you were also weak humans in your previous life. Since you can't prove your Tao, it means that you don't deserve to prove your Tao. Why don't you reincarnate in peace? Why are you causing trouble everywhere? Di Shang roared, wanting to alert the experts of the endless universe to come and help. Stop struggling. Don't forget that there is still the supreme existence of the Heaven's Secrets sect in the Forbidden Land. He has already seen through the secrets of heaven and let us set up the Heaven Prison formation here. Even if this star field is destroyed, no one will come to help you. Now, what you need to do is to hand over the golden bloodline, and we will spare your life. The supreme existence of the Heaven's Secrets sect. Di Shang's expression changed drastically. No wonder they had appeared so timely. There were countless experts who had fallen in the Forbidden Land. Many emperors had defected and become part of the dead spirit. No one could escape the temptation of eternal life. There were even some experts who had reached the end of their lives, who had entered the Forbidden Land before they had even reached the Tao transformation realm. They used the laws of time in the Forbidden Land to live forever. They relied on devouring the vitality of the common people to prolong their feeble existence, all for the sake of a slim chance of survival. Therefore, the Forbidden Land was the most powerful. Because there were too many experts, there were all sorts of people. There were defectors from various factions, and some of them even spanned several eras. Di Shang, let me tell you another secret. There is an 8-star top hunter in the Forbidden Land. Ha 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 ha. You ignorant humans. You all look so righteous, but when faced with the threat of death, who would be a hero? The dead spirit sneered. Impossible. You're talking nonsense. A hunter would never defect. Di Shang mocked disdainfully. The wilderness hunter was an honor. So far, there had been no defectors. Countless humans revered the hunters. They would fight for the human race even if they died. How could an 8-star top hunter defect? I'm talking nonsense? Di Shang, the Forbidden Land has existed for eternity, as long as the universe. The wilderness hunters have existed for countless eras. How much can you understand? According to what I know, there is more than one defector hunter in the depths of the Forbidden Land. There are even emperor-level defectors. When they were alive, they opposed the Forbidden Land. When faced with death, didn't they defect too? They feel guilty and are unwilling to come out, but that doesn't mean they didn't defect. The dead spirit said coldly, wanting to break Di Shang's Tao heart. Di Shang, bring the golden bloodline with us into the Forbidden Land. I'll give you some golden saint blood. Together, we can prove the supreme great Tao and strive for eternal life. Qing Peng tempted. He didn't attack recklessly, afraid that Di Shang would be injured and wipe out the golden bloodline first. Di Shang's lips curled up. He could see that the other party was also very cautious. Si Wuxia's eyes were like the sun. His golden hair fluttered as he glared at the evil spirit. He wanted nothing more than to soar into the sky and kill these disgusting bastards. Yi Qinghan's hair stood on end. He couldn't see any signs of life in front of him. He was completely unable to resist an emperor-level expert. Right now, he could only rely on Di Shang. But Di Shang was also in despair. No matter how strong he was, he couldn't face Qing Peng and a powerful evil spirit at the same time. Even if he could protect himself, he couldn't protect this group of geniuses, much less Si Wuxia. Qingpeng, aren't you afraid that I'll break the sky prison formation? If you defect before entering the Forbidden Land, how will you face the myriad races? Di Shang questioned. You can't break it. So what if you break it? I've protected the myriad races for 1,000 years. Even if I defect, they'll still be grateful to me. Qingpeng disdainfully replied. You bunch of idiots, you've all been tricked. That Forbidden Land is the place where experts are kept. You've all abandoned yourselves and become their pets. How can you still talk about proving your Tao? The parrot suddenly stood out and mocked. Spirit-devouring God Eagle? I didn't expect it to still be alive. That's a pretty good treasure. Qingpeng's eyes lit up as he spoke greedily. AI, this divine bird is speaking the truth. You bunch of idiots, don't go back to the Forbidden Land. That place is a huge pit. Jumping in is like taking drugs. There's no way to escape. The parrot lamented the state of the universe and the fate of mankind. Yi Qinghan clenched his teeth and looked at the parrot. Although he didn't know what it meant, he knew that every breath he took was another chance at survival. What do you know? You're just a little bird that hasn't even grown out its feathers. How dare you talk about the Forbidden Land? Si Ling coldly reprimanded. This divine bird is the future all beasts' divine emperor. I know much more than you. Everything I say is the truth. If you don't believe me, go back to the Forbidden Land and ask those old geezers. Ask them if they regret entering the Forbidden Land. The parrot said in all seriousness. Also, I advise you not to do anything. Otherwise, you'll draw out a terrifying existence. Hurry up and leave. I'm doing this for your own good. Si Ling and Qingpeng were disdainful. The sky prison formation had already been set up, so how could a terrifying existence appear? No matter how terrifying it was, could it be more terrifying than them half-emperors? Chapter 198. The star field was boundless, and there was nothing else in this star field apart from powerful beasts. The parrot displayed its ability to bluff, scaring the Emperor-level expert into a daze. Evil spirit, is the demon Sky Saint still alive in the depths of your Forbidden Land? We've been together for a long time, and he cries in his dreams, regretting that he went to the Forbidden Land. He wanted to die, but he clung to his last chance at life. In the end, he only helped others. The parrot's feathers exploded as it glared at the evil spirit. Demon Sky Saint, how do you know of his existence? The evil spirit's body was suffused with black death energy, and his eyes shot out destructive light. However, he wasn't as aggressive as Emperor Yi. I have a good relationship with him. Nonsense, you dare to trick me? The demon Sky Saint hasn't appeared in 1,000 years. How old are you? This divine bird is a peerless divine bird that has lived a second life. I don't blame you for not understanding me, but for the sake of the demon Sky Saint, I'll give you a word of advice. Don't attack or you'll die miserably. The parrot spoke solemnly as if it was telling the truth. Even Yi Qinghan felt that it was very trustworthy. This was because when it spoke the truth, it sounded like it was trying to trick people, but when it lied, it sounded like it was telling the truth. The evil spirit didn't understand parrots, and felt that they were being tricked. It was furious and said coldly, "Attack, I'll take the golden bloodline. You delay Emperor Shang." Damn, I can't scare him. The parrot's feathers exploded, and it hid inside Yi Qinghan's body. Yi Qinghan's mouth twitched. He couldn't argue with it anymore. His fate was no longer in his hands, and he could only resign himself to fate. Even the heavenly fate dragon was powerless, and divine martial experts couldn't fight against emperor-level experts. Even the evil spirit who had left his body could crush him with a single will. Yi Jianma gradually retreated. The supreme treasure in her sea of consciousness could save her soul, but it couldn't save her body. Once the evil spirit attacked, she had no chance. Yi Lingyu pulled Yi Jianma behind the heavenly fate dragon and waited for a chance. At this moment, apart from a limited number of people, everyone else had fainted. The divine Guqin protected Yi Qinghan and Emperor Yi, but it could only defend passively and could not attack actively. Si Wuxie's entire body was enveloped in flames. Extreme yang qi rushed out of his body and resisted the dead spirit qi. He was unwilling to give up struggling. Go away. Taiwa clenched his small fists tightly and glared at the ferocious spirit. His voice was pure and there was not the slightest bit of Tao technique in it, but there was an indescribable will. The dead spirit was stunned. It looked into Taiwa's eyes and the shadow trembled. It was actually a little terrified. Di Shang and Qing Peng trembled as they looked at Taiwa. Suddenly, they felt as if they were looking at a mountain, but the mountain was still there. What is this? Qing Peng and Undead Spirit spoke at the same time, their eyes filled with shock. Di Shang was overjoyed. Could it be that his life depended on this brat? I hate your aura. I told you to go away. Taiwa spoke again. His small hand involuntarily reached forward. With a clench of his small hand, the dead spirit roared as if its soul was being grabbed. It struggled crazily. The Emperor's might was vast and mighty, shattering the stars in the distance. The powerful vicious beasts were shattered into pieces, and blood dyed the sky red. Hua! Divine light erupted from Taiwa's body, protecting everyone. The true Emperor's might poured out, and it was 10,000 times denser than Qing Peng and Di Shang's. It was as if a true emperor had descended. His small hand grabbed the air, and he could actually grab the soul of the dead spirit. Yi Qinghan was shocked. Taiwa's sea of consciousness was empty, as if it did not have a soul. His body was immortal, so how could he grab the soul of the dead spirit? I hate your aura. Go away. Taiwa's immortal sect Tao robe awakened. He spread his wings and flew up on his own. His small hand clenched tightly, and the dead spirit could not struggle. Its soul collapsed, and it screamed miserably. The great Tao of the stars trembled. Emperor Yi opened his eyes and glared at the struggling dead spirit. The soul of the dead spirit was grabbed, and it could not resist. It allowed the destructive aura to enter its illusory body. Although it was not much of a threat to the dead spirit, it could still injure it, even if it was very small. After a long time, the body of the dead spirit became fainter and fainter. Qing Peng was terrified. The golden bloodline had not even made a move, and the dead spirit actually had no chance to resist. Its soul was grabbed by a little child. Emperor Shang was overjoyed. The parrot was right. A terrifying existence would really make a move. He immediately pounced on Qing Peng, wanting to suppress the traitor. Whoosh! A wisp of cloud turned into the most terrifying divine weapon, shattering the void and attacking Qing Peng. Whoosh! Qing Peng spread his wings, and his body awakened. His emperor body covered the sky, and with a slight movement, the clouds surged and the stars exploded. Emperor light collided, and tens of thousands of bones withered. The two supreme experts killed their way into the stars, and the sky prison great formation protected this star field. The outside world was unaware. The Emperor light on Taiwa's body protected everyone. No matter how the dead spirit struggled, it could not break through the Emperor light's defense. Those who were still awake were overjoyed, and they all used their strongest battle strength to attack the dead spirit. The heavenly fate dragon was the strongest. Even if it could not cause much damage, it could still crush someone to death in numbers. Moreover, Si Wuxie directly tore off his arm, spraying a large amount of Sun Saint blood at the dead spirit. This was a fatal injury to the dead spirit. Ha ha! This divine bird understands the mysteries of heaven better than those old things of the Heaven's Fate sect. I told you that a terrifying existence would make a move, but you didn't believe me. You're only regretting it now. The parrot was overjoyed. Yi Qinghan was too lazy to pay attention to it. He swung his heavy sword at the dead spirit. Even though he knew it could not cause much damage, he still had to make a move. The golden brick technique shook, and magic power overflowed, covering the sky. The demon dragon blade tore through heaven and earth, fully awakening. It was actually a divine martial weapon. It directly pierced into the dead spirit's body and crazily absorbed his life essence. The scripture page on Mu Yu Tianqian's body seemed to be related to emperor weapons. It suppressed the heavens until they wailed. The dead spirit howled in grief. His neck seemed to be stuck. It looked like he was standing there, waiting to be beaten, but in reality, he could not move at all. "I hate your aura. Go away." Tai Hua's gaze was furious. It seemed that this was the only thing he could say. He did not let go of the dead spirit's neck, but he made the dead spirit walk away. The dead spirit wanted to cry but had no tears. Di Shang felt that his rear was unharmed, and his confidence was greatly boosted. The more he fought, the more courageous he became. He crazily suppressed the green pung. Everything was an emperor weapon. The heavens collapsed and the earth cracked. Dead stars exploded. The green pung was unwilling. It originally thought that it only needed to delay Di Shang for 3 to 5 breaths. When the time came, even if the two great experts could not suppress Di Shang, it would be a matter of a breath if they wanted to leave. However, the dead spirit was actually restrained by someone and could not move at all. "Kill!" A furious roar shook the heavenly river. The kill word on the emperor's robe actually rushed into the sky and pressed down on the green pung. "Damned dead spirit! Why don't trash like you just die? You can't even suppress a group of juniors." The green pung was furious. Its wings were suffused with green light as they swept toward the kill word. The heavens collapsed and the earth cracked. The stars nearby were all shattered. The aftershocks swept toward the Kuei, but they were blocked by the emperor light on Tai Hua's body. The Kuei glared angrily at the dead spirit. It stomped its iron hooves toward the dead spirit. In the end, it was a ferocious beast of 10,000 races and loathed the dead spirit. The mountain-like iron hooves smashed into the dead spirit's body, and the destructive aura tore apart the Kuei's defenses. The Kuei roared angrily. It spread its iron hooves and used its horns to fiercely attack the dead spirit. The dead spirit was heavily injured, but so was the Kuei. A large amount of destructive and deathly aura enveloped it, making it furious. The dead spirit still could not break free from Tai Hua's control. The veins on Tai Hua's tender arm bulged and golden blood flowed out. He was bathed in a river of blood, but he still gritted his teeth and held on. The violent heavy saber cut through the void and landed on the dead spirit's body. The terrifying aura rebounded and sent Yi Qinghan flying. His body exploded and his blood dyed the void. The dead spirit's vitality was quickly being consumed. These little things were nothing to it, but if one of them injured its foundation, it would accumulate to a terrifying degree. Moreover, there was still the Kuei and the heavenly fate dragon. The damage to it was even greater. The green peng's lifespan was almost up, and it was unwilling to fight to the death with experts of the same level. Seeing that the dead spirit had no chance, it launched its strongest attack. Both sides were injured, and its emperor blood burned the void, taking the opportunity to escape. Di Shang was worried about the rear and did not dare to give chase. His figure flashed, and he appeared above the dead spirit. His emperor chi poured out, crazily suppressing the dead spirit. Roar! The dead spirit felt the threat of death and erupted with its strongest battle strength. It struggled to break free from Tai Hua's shackles, but before it could react, it was shattered by Di Shang. Its vitality was crushed by the Emperor Qi, and 1/10 of it was devoured by the demon dragon saber. About 1/5 of Emperor Ye's eyes were destroyed, and the remaining vitality was completely wiped out by Di Shang. The dead spirit of a generation, who knew how long it had lived, died in such a sullen manner. Tai Hua went limp and his emperor light scattered. He was supported by the immortal sect robe as he hung in the void. Yi Qinghan gritted his teeth and rushed into the void to hug him. His eyes were filled with joy and heartache. After killing the fake Emperor Dead Spirit, Di Shang was incomparably excited. This was not only contribution points, but it also caused the Forbidden Land to lose an important member. Once this news spread, the entire human race would be overjoyed. However, at this moment, the golden sacred blood and Emperor Ye's eyes were overshadowed by Tai Hua's performance. Di Shang looked at Tai Hua with doubt, shock, and reverence in his eyes. This child's origin must be extraordinary. He's definitely a Supreme Emperor's Dao fruit. But I can't recognize who he is, Di Shang muttered, his eyes filled with various emotions. Yi Qinghan was silent. He had only met Tai Hua by chance, and because he pitied his helplessness, he brought him along. Even if he could not open his qi after cultivating for several years, he did not say much. He did not expect that today would be their chance to live. The karma of the great Tao was everywhere. Yi Qinghan's kindness had actually obtained such benefit. One had to say that his luck was heaven-defying. No matter who he is, he's my family, Yi Qinghan said in a deep voice. Since they were fated to meet, he would not give up. Regarding Tai Hua's matter today, I will erase your memories. The Emperor's Tao fruit cannot be lost, or it will attract supreme existences to fight over it. Di Shang waved his hand and knocked everyone unconscious. They had no chance to resist at all. Only the divine zither erupted, and a strand of zither music spread out, shattering the starry river and blocking the quasi-emperor's attack. Di Shang had already been knocked unconscious. What kind of existences were gathered around Yi Qinghan? Each one was more terrifying than the last. You don't have to worry about me and Emperor Yi. Yi Qinghan looked at Di Shang and said in a deep voice. Chapter 199. In the endless void, a kuei was galloping, turning into a shooting star. Everyone woke up from their coma. They only remembered that they had experienced a great battle, but they didn't remember that Tai Hua had erupted and suppressed the dead spirit. Di Shang was pleasantly surprised and shocked. This time, his luck was heaven-defying. Killing a false emperor-level dead spirit was worth tens of millions of contribution points. This was something that many people couldn't obtain in their entire life. Di Shang didn't care about these contribution points, but he cared about this glory. He cared about the glory of becoming a 9-star hunter. Right now, he was still very far from 9 stars. Now, the human race had an additional golden bloodline. Emperor Ye's constitution was unknown. Now, there was a great emperor's Tao fruit. 1,000 years later, the human race would definitely be endlessly glorious. Roar. The kuei roared, trampling the heavens and entering the human territory, drawing out a supreme existence. The emperor's might was vast and mighty, and they all avoided it. It's an emperor-level expert. Greetings to the great emperor. The divine martial experts all knelt down, incomparably excited. There were still a few half-emperors and false emperors, but they rarely appeared. To be able to see one was a supreme glory. All of you return. Wait for the summons to begin the Golden Age. The human race is about to rise. The emperor's voice was grand, rushing into all directions. The endless universe was restless, and the younger generation's blood was boiling. The Golden Age belonged to the young. The great emperor personally spoke of the beginning of the Golden Age. Countless glorious existences were destined to appear. All hidden geniuses would appear. If they weren't war kings, who would dare to speak? Yi Qinghan clenched his fists, his clothes fluttering. Conquering the endless universe, this was the life path he wanted. He had already gotten his revenge, and now he was going to prove the supreme great Tao and seek immortality. A tyrannical aura rushed into the heavens. More than 10 young people were in high spirits, looking down on the common people, their blood boiling. The kuei disappeared in a flash, entering the central imperial region. An enormous star was majestic and vast, incomparably grand. It was even larger than a star field, but its density was moderate. The laws of space were stable, suitable for the human race to live in. The vicissitudes of life filled the clouds, countless experts, and palaces towering into the horizon. The spiritual chi had already reached the extreme. Immortal mountains were faintly discernible, filled with mist, and waterfalls fell from the sky. Hung. The Kuei descended, and the earth shook. The Emperor-level star formation's brilliance, and the 8th-rank vicious beast couldn't even break a trace of the territory. Di Shang waved his hand, and the Kuei cow turned back into an imprint and hid in his sleeve. The Tianji dragon respectfully retreated with Yi Lingyu and Yi Jianmo. I'll arrange a place for you all to stay. This star is vast and boundless, and there are countless experts. It's not a single power, so you all must not be arrogant. Otherwise, you'll be suppressed by iron and blood. You won't even have a place to cry out for justice, Di Shang reminded in a deep voice. Yi Qinghan bowed slightly. As long as there was a place to settle down, it would be enough. The crazy sect would rise in the central imperial domain where thousands of clans lived. This place belongs to the hunters' territory. Hunters can be seen everywhere in the outer territory. Most of them fight on their own. Some of them fight in groups. As long as there is no large-scale infighting and killing, the organization will not restrict them. So when they encounter each other, they will endure. As for Stan Wuxia, Emperor Yi, and Tai Hua, I will personally apply for a 5-star hunting robe for them. No one will dare to be rude to them. However, you all have to fight for yourselves. It would be best if you can pass the assessment. If you can't, you can only leave the hunter's territory. This is the rule, Di Shang reminded in a deep voice as he looked at Yi Qinghan. The 5-star hunter's robe was a supreme existence. Just this battle robe alone could crush someone to death. However, Emperor Shang could not simply give it to others. Only Renhuang Yi and the others were too special, so he had no choice but to go through the back door. Yi Qinghan nodded slightly. He did not know if the others could pass the assessment, but he, Gu Qingyu, Mu Yu, and Tian Chen were absolutely confident. As long as they could establish a foothold here, they would be glorious. Di Shang arranged a single palace for Yi Qinghan and the others to stay in. This startled countless geniuses, and many people shot jealous gazes at Yi Qinghan. This palace was not good, but how special were these people to be personally arranged by a quasi-emperor? Where did this group of little guys come from? They don't look old, and their battle strength is not much, a young man in a killing robe said with a cold expression. Yi Qinghan looked up at this person and found that there was not only the word kill on his shoulder, but also a star beside it. It was as bright and deep as a star. This killing robe was a little different from Feng Sha's. Feng Sha's robe did not have a star, so he probably had not advanced to 1 star. Perhaps he is a distant bloodline relative of Sir. This kind of trash cannot survive for long in the central imperial region unless he stays in the palace all day. Another hunter looked at Yi Qinghan and the others with disdain. Geniuses looked down on trash who walked through the back door the most. A 2-star hunter. A peak Dao master expert with terrifying battle strength that looked down on all living things. When Stan Wuxia heard someone insulting them, he turned his cold eyes and turned into a blazing flame that shot towards the people who were talking in the distance. An emperor-like will press down on everyone. A special constitution? You have a strong aura. Hunters were all invincible battle monarchs, and there were many special constitutions. They were all arrogant and unruly. Even if the opponent had a powerful special constitution, they were confident that they could defeat him. Who would be frightened by the aura of a little kid? Yi Qinghan smiled faintly and reached out to pull Stan Wuxia into the palace. Wuxia, no matter what they say, bear with it first. As a human emperor, you must have the bearing of a human emperor. When you reach the Tao Master realm, it will be time for you to shine. Yes, Master. I will not lower myself to their level. Gu Qingyu led a separate courtyard. Yi Qinghan sat in the front, while the others surrounded him. Emperor Yi was in the middle, Wu Xie was on the left, Li Jiuchong was on the right, and Tai Hua was at the back. It was a completely defensive formation. Even if someone attacked the palace, there would be time to react. Back in the main hall, Yi Qinghan looked at the excited crowd, and his heart was moved. Everyone had the same idea. They wanted to go out and see the vastness of the central imperial domain and the invincible geniuses. Di Shang came back even faster. 3 very special 5-star killing robes appeared in his hands. They were different from the other 5-star killing robes. The other 5-star killing robes only had 5 stars around the word kill, but these 3 robes had 5 stars around the sun. As long as it was not activated, it would be dim and dim. Even the 5 stars would not be displayed. Once activated, it would shine brightly in the imperial domain. These 3 5-star killing robes are specially made for the 3 of you. They can block the assassination of divine martial experts. They have communication charms. If you are attacked by experts, the fake emperors in the organization and I will be notified. We will quickly come to your aid. These killing robes cannot be leaked. Once you die, the organization will take them back. Moreover, you are not allowed to use them to suppress experts at the same level. They can only be used to block the assassination of high-level experts. Di Shang warned in a deep voice. Stan Wuxia looked at the killing robes and grinned. He was very satisfied with the 3 killing robes. The others could only be envious. Even Yi Qinghan could not obtain such a supreme treasure. It could block the assassination of divine martial experts. Once it was activated, it would shake the world. The 3 of them put on the killing robes. They did not look ordinary. Just the word kill alone was even more murderous. The making and embroidery of these robes were definitely made by a supreme existence. The color of the 5 stars and the sun was about the same as the color of the robe. If one did not get close, they would not be able to tell that these were 5-star killing robes. However, Emperor Yi did not think that the killing robes looked good. He wore the immortal sect robes on the outside to cover the aura of the killing robes. This was because this robe was personally made by Yi Qinghan for her. Even if the killing robes were 6-star or 7-star, they were not as good as the immortal sect robes in her heart. Tai Hua did not like the aura leaking out and also covered the killing robe. However, Stan Wuxia did not cover the killing robes. He felt that the killing robes were leaking out and had dense killing intent. It was very suitable for him. Yi Qinghan bowed and said, "Many thanks for your care, Your Majesty." Di Shang faintly smiled. He looked at Yi Qinghan and said in a low voice, "Young man, you were able to gather so many geniuses. This shows that your destiny is very deep. Although your talent is a bit lacking, I believe that through your hard work, you will have a chance to walk onto the human stage. You will follow the human emperor to conquer the 8 desolations and shatter the forbidden lands." Yi Qinghan clenched his fist. His aura could not be concealed. His battle intent soared into the heavens as he proudly said, "I will walk at the front." Ha ha ha, you have pride, battle intent, and killing intent. I like it. Rest for a few days and prepare to participate in the hunter trial. Di Shang laughed and continued, "I know that you have just arrived at the imperial domain and want to take a look around. Then go. This old man will give you a message talisman. If there is anything important, you can contact me. You can also come to the imperial palace to find me." Di Shang turned and left. His majestic figure stood between the heavens and earth as he looked down on the heavens. Yi Qinghan looked at Di Shang's back as his battle intent surged. He raised his head and said in a low voice, "That's how a man should be." A group of people rushed out of the palace like wild horses. They were in high spirit. The 12-year-old Si Wuxia was actually a hunter. This attracted everyone's attention. Yi Qinghan looked around at the unruly young kings. He thought to himself, one day, the insane sect will stand proudly in the heavens and take in countless geniuses. It will become a grade 9 dynasty. Hey, who are you? Why are you being taken care of by the great emperor? A young man with dense killing intent stopped Yi Qinghan and the others and asked coldly. We are also very curious. A group of children who did not participate in the hunter trial can stay in the outer palace under the guidance of the great emperor. What are you relying on? Perhaps you really are the great emperor's blood relatives. Everyone, let's not make things difficult for them. It's not good to offend them. Impossible. If they were the great emperor's blood relatives, the great emperor would definitely enter the inner palace. Why would he arrange for them to stay in the outer palace? I guess the great emperor found a genius during his training and brought them back because he was interested. Could it be that the great emperor is going to accept a disciple? Everyone discussed. There was doubt, envy, and killing intent in their eyes. Some of these people were geniuses who had not participated in the hunter trial yet. Some had participated and were eliminated. Of course, there were also powerful existences who had already become hunters. If the great emperor accepts a disciple, all the hunters will be notified and rush back. They will fight to the death for that spot. There is no news from the outside world. It seems that the great emperor will not accept a disciple. You are thinking too much. A powerful 3-star hunter appeared in front of everyone and said coldly. Yi Qinghan shrugged and said indifferently, Everyone, we're not his disciples, nor are we blood relatives. We just happened to have some fortuitous encounters with the emperor and hitched a ride to the imperial region. So, there's no need for all of you to be hostile towards us. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.